you. All right, how are we? Let's see, let me turn the volume up. How's that? All right, there we go. Chat is on. There's computer. Okay, let me switch this over. All right, so a few days ago, let's see, it was Saturday. Saturday, I had a pretty rough game. And initially I figured out two reasons why our game was rough. I had low energy because I was super tired, and I had an extended shopping session. And after running the game and kind of coming to the conclusion that the game hadn't gone well, and I don't think I was being overly critical. I think I read my players correctly. We got to our stars and wishes section. That's the place where we like talk about what we liked and want for the game. And when we were going through the stars, like my players were struggling to think of like the things that they really liked in the campaign. So I took it as a bad game, you know, like it was a poor game session. And so I made a video about it. And I asked the people who comment on my channel to give me some suggestions and advice for how to run a shopping session. And I got a lot of interesting responses, and that's what this stream is going to be. I did a stream like this before where I essentially asked a question on a video, and I asked a question on a video, and then once I got back a lot of responses that sort of answered that question really well, I thought, well, hey, why not make a video about this? Like, why not just read through, because I got like 30 or 40 good responses. Why not just read through them and make a video about, those responses? And I think that video was, man, I don't even know if I can remember what that video was. I've asked so many questions on this channel, and I've got so many, such good feedback so often. I'm starting to lose track, because I do know that I also asked that same question. I asked a different question and said I was going to make a stream for it, and then I forgot. So the thing I'm going to do is, if you clicked on this live stream, it should have been titled like answering the question with the comments or something, like, my comments section answers this question. Anyways, I'm going to make videos in the future where I essentially say, this is a question, help me make a video, right? I think I'm gonna put specifically the words help me make a video in the title. So when you see it, you put a comment in there, and I'm definitely going to take that video and make a stream out of it, right? So let me quit going on and on and on and actually start getting to the thing. I probably should have set this up a little better, but I just started streaming, so I will get better at this. I've also I'd really be interested in hearing your feedback, and I guess this is the place to do it. So when I used to stream, like a long time ago, I think it was like 2021, I was streaming, and I was the worst. No one was watching the streams except for like my mom and like whoever else I called and begged to watch. So, like I wasn't streaming to anyone, but I was also streaming video games, and I didn't know what I want to do. But anyways, like the point I'm bringing up is I set up my stream really well. Like I put cameras, and like, I'm pointing over to my OBS monitor. Anyways, I set it up very well. I had like, different scenes, and I had it programmed onto my stream deck so I could hit buttons, and there were fancy transitions. There was even like music cued to the transitions. I went like way overboard in preparation. Juxtapose that with this channel, or this gaming channel, where people are generally tuning in and hanging out with me streaming, and I've just done no work. So I kind of feel guilty for having put so much work into a failed stream and not putting work into the successful stream. So as you may see here, there's like a little border up at the edge and down at the bottom, and behind that you'll see like a little moving animation. That's something I put together in like Motion a couple years ago. Anyways, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back for my motion skills. It's pretty rudimentary. The point is, I plan on adjusting this. If you have some things that you'd like to see in the stream, I will mess with this and make some specific scenes. So here, right here in the background, you'll see I have Star Trek Next Generation. I think this is Remember Me from season 4. And the thought I had was like, hey, there's a lot of people on my channel who likes Star Trek, and we got talking about Star Trek. And so like, maybe I'll just run this and try not to get distracted by it. You know, like it gives it some flavor. It gives it some, you know, personality, I guess. Anyway, so I'm planning on changing some of this stuff, maybe putting the chat up on the screen. So let me know if you'd like that. I asked in my last stream whether or not people were able to do that. And someone mentioned that they were able to still see the chat even when it wasn't live. So, you know, maybe that's not that important. I see people who have streams and they got, you know, I mean, like here. So I'll show you. I have some very basic setups here. Like here's me. Oh, you can actually hear. You can see my channel there. 1,377 subscribers. I've actually been able to get the channel monetized. I wasn't able to finish the process because I just got my driver's license finally in the mail. I previously had an expired license for a long time and just never paid attention to it until Google said, sorry, that license is no good. Anyway, so yeah, this is the other camera. Let me see, I don't know what the crop one is. I'm not going to go jump into the different scenes because I don't think I've set a bunch of them up. The point is, give me some suggestions, you know, like what, if you're going to tune in and you want to like watch these videos or watch these live streams, like help me make this so that it's something you know, I'm not good at this. You know, I'm not good at streaming. So if there's anything you like added to it, like I thought about putting, I have a little small micro camera, and I thought about putting one at this downward angle because most of the time, like our dog Barkley is hanging out here while we're streaming. I think he's in my son's room right now, but most of the time I'm out here, he's just hanging out on the pillow. And so we could put a little Barkley cam in or something. Like I have the ability to make this better, and I'm going to try. So my apologies for, you know, just not putting that much effort into something that I enjoy the streaming as much as I enjoy making the videos and reading the comments and stuff. So getting back to the point. All right, so the video I put up was we had a bad session. I'm going to click on that video now. No, I'm going to click on the, all right, how did I do this before? There's a way, there we go, comments. Okay, and that's how I got comments just for that video. I want to click on the comments that, just all of them, perfect. Okay, and I'm going to go to this other one here. So, I'm going to see if I can get rid of this little sidebar over here and make it just be the comments. So you don't have to see my dumb face the whole time. Let's see. I think that's going to make me go backwards. Yeah, I suspected that. Okay, all right, so I do want this one. I want to go to the comments. You know, I might just reframe this. Hold on, come with me. Come with me. There we go, that's a little better. Okay, got all the comments. Let me spread this out so it... And my mouse is being all goofy now. Oh, apparently that's as big as the window will go. All right, you're gonna have to look at part of my dumb face there. And that's a pretty good font size. I might make it a little bit larger in case reading is hard to do. Zoom one more. There we go. 100's pretty good. Oh, hey, and I got my face off of there. Okay. So my plan is to just go through these comments. I might open up the replies and like start going through the replies, but you know, my hope is that this live stream will be helpful for anyone who's struggling to make a shopping system run on their TTRPGs. I suppose if this goes well, I might do this again in a shorter form video. I did that last time. I don't know if that was better or not. In fact, I think the last I checked, the live stream still had more views than the shorter videos, so that was wildly confusing to me. Anyways, let me start at the beginning. Again, this is asking the question. You know, hey, you know what? There we go. That's what I'll do. I'll just cut out this whole beginning section. Let me go over here and tell my computer to start recording. All right. So I will make a video while I'm doing this live stream, and I'll post the video, and hopefully the video will be shorter. We'll see how that goes. Let's see, start recording. Hopefully I remember at some point to hit stop. All right, so this video will hopefully help you to learn how to run shopping in your tabletop role-playing games. If you're struggling to get a shopping session, you know, done quickly, and you're trying to get your players through all the process of exchanging gold for items, I was having that trouble in my last game session, and the comments from my channel were really helpful in giving me some ideas about what to do in the future about shopping, because I don't know, I'm sure there are modules and compendiums that will explain this type of thing, but you know, I don't have any of those. So right now I have my channel helping me correct my shopping problems. So let's get right to it. going with non-singer Isa. All right, I'm gonna stick with that, non-singer Isa. Usually you would just handle the shopping outside of the session. Shopping is really boring and drags a lot in tabletop role-playing games. So usually you would not make it part of the game. If they want to buy one thing, they can do it during the session. If they want to do some serious shopping, they must end the session in a town and give you a list of what they want to buy written down. Next session, you tell them what they got and what they didn't, in whatever special case, for example, like a flaming sword, because I mentioned one of my players is looking for a flaming sword. So, all right, I'm so happy that this comment is like the first comment, because this was a surprising thing to me as like a new dungeon master. What I noticed in the comments was there's a bunch of people just going, we don't run shopping. And that was like, I was like, wait a second, we just don't run shopping? And I don't mean like there was like 2 or 3 people. I think there's like 5 or 6 individuals in like so I might have like 30 or 50 comments. I don't remember, I counted, but I forgot. Anyways, there's a bunch of people who are saying this same thing, just don't run shopping. Of course, there are other people saying do run shopping, but I still found this interesting. And look, there's like 15 people that are like, hey, I like that. I usually click like on all the videos. So now there's 16 people. Oh my goodness, you got a haircut. Okay, this was supposed to be a short video. Okay, I'm canceling the idea for the short video now. Hold on, I gotta hit stop on this thing. This kid got a haircut and he looks different. Oh my goodness, hang on. Yeah. So wait, are you gonna come over here? Yeah. He doesn't even look like the same. See, the dogs are freaking out. He doesn't look like the same kid. Hold on, let me go to the widescreen. Okay, I thought this was gonna be a quick video. This is not. We're gonna be going for a while. All right, let me.
Just listening to Star Trek the whole time.
I'm not listening to Star Trek. I just have it on back there.
So then you can find the episode with the Frogman.
And maybe eventually I'll find the episode with the Frogman. Okay, hold on. Look at this kid's hair. This kid's hair is totally different.
Yeah.
Oh, that looks nice. All right, when did you do that? Today?
Yeah.
Obviously, okay. Did it like this evening at your mom's house?
It was. I went to the haircutting place.
All right.
Right after school, and went to Lights.
Sorry, I'm asking you dumb questions I already know the answer to. How was Lights?
It was pretty good. I had a good time. And then we played a game where you had to like stomp on you'd have a balloon tied around your ankle. Okay. And then you had
you had to stomp on someone else's.
Without.
And keep yours from. Yeah, that's a play the game.
I lost like instantly.
Did you really?
It was terrible.
Okay. Lex is hanging out in there if you want to go watch some Sherlock with her.
Are you streaming?
I am streaming, and I'm going to make a. Yeah, well, here we go. The amount of time it takes to shop for specific things, it's extremely effective to do one-on-one shopping outside of the game, the group time. It also gives them time and room to come up with some more personal items. See, that's a.
Wait, they have to see Barkley.
No, you gotta see Barkley. Okay. Oh, you're cleaning that up. You made him pee. That's a really good. That's a good point, and that's one of the things that I kept seeing in the comments, which I was surprised with. Okay, you're getting me all off track now. Okay, why don't you go watch some Sherlock, and I will do this for a while because I have a focus. That's dirty. You can go bring that to dirty clothes.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, go watch some Sherlock. Get out of here.
All right.
Let's see. TLC Frontman says, then they can excitedly introduce the new stuff they got at the start of the next session. Man, that's a solid idea. All right, so okay. I forgot. I'm in the middle of doing something now, man. Come on. Okay. Go watch Sherlock and please stop. All right, so back on track. This comment here from. What? Oh, she just saw his haircut. Can everyone just... All right, she's like freaking out that his hair is cut. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so... Can you close the door and just...
Well, I think they can hit that B now.
All right. So distracted. All right. This comment surprised me because it was basically people saying, like, why would you have shopping in the game session? And in my mind, I was like, wait, what? Am I allowed to just do that? Like, that'd be like, hey, why are you guys having combat in your game session? Like, that's how, okay. I played a lot of video games, and like in Champions of the Norath, like Champions of Norath, you'd get back to the town and you'd exchange all the garbage you'd picked up for some cool stuff. In Borderlands, we used to go to shops. Okay, I've played video games where there's shopping. Shopping was kind of part of the game. And, anyways, it just hadn't occurred to me like to do shopping between the weeks, and if it had occurred to me, like I instantly shot the idea down, like, no, my players have to shop. But like, okay, like TSL Frontman has just said, It's extremely effective to do a one-on-one shopping outside of the game time. And this also gives time and room for each of the players to come up with personal items that they like to buy. And then on top of that, they can get excited to introduce the new stuff that they got at the start of the next session. So that's a great idea. Okay, so my son even says that's a really good idea. And my son is the one who's like, if we don't have shopping, I ain't playing the game, right? Like, that's what they just said last session. I was like, okay. Because I suggest, hold on, okay, so I suggested maybe we do shopping like, you know, out of, I don't think I actually said like over like phone calls or something, but I think I said we're gonna do it like just not in the game session, or we'll make it really short or something, or just go around one time. Anyways, yeah, so TSL Frontman has a great suggestion. Let me continue on. There was a lot more people who say a similar thing about just cutting the shopping out of your game entirely, which I was just wildly surprised about. Again, because it's like, oh, I thought that, you know, like, wouldn't that be upsetting to people? All right, so let me hit the open replies here. Let's see, okay, so, oh no, there we go, I was closing them. Sorry, here we go, these are the replies. Okay, now I see, okay. Epic Empires adds to what Non-Singer Jesus says and says, yes, unless you can think of some way to make shopping an exciting adventure, then it's best to handle shopping, handle outside of the session, because shopping is boring. This was another idea that I totally failed to implement in our last game, essentially to make shopping exciting in its own adventure. And there was a lot of suggestions in the comments on how to do that better, and that's, again, why I'm going to be reading through them. Okay, so I said that's helpful. All right, so then Strawberry Hellcat says, agreed. The McElroys made shopping fun with Fantasy Costco, but for most of us, it's a bore. The group handles a lot of paperwork, sort of some role play out of session using a book called On Downtime Demises, On Downtime and Demences. I don't know that word. Edit. It can come with its own game hooks too. Paladins often end up with broken arms and legs. Okay, so they're saying basically you can have some sort of downtime ramifications, like the carousing thing from Shadow Dark or the carousing thing from Pirate Borg. Pirate Borg has a carousing thing where you can, like, you know, lose a limb or something like that. So, okay, let's see. Then I asked a question. See, in my question, it was, hold on. Oh, I had no idea it would be a net benefit to the campaign. All right. And that's the end of their comment. Okay, so then the Non-Singer Giza pops in and says again, that's the kind of things which there isn't really an instinct for, and there's not a lot of advices online about it. It is more than normal to just not have the idea of skipping it. Okay, so he's apparently saying it's pretty normal to think you shouldn't skip it. All right, if you want to experiment with it, please don't let me discourage you, but skipping it is an option to keep in mind, I think. And initially I was like, oh, okay, maybe I can present this with my players, you know, like, hey, we do it between sessions, we skip it, whatever. But in my mind, my son would definitely not want that. All right, I think I'm gonna try and stick with just the main comments, but maybe I'll hit the replies to the replies. Well, we'll see. I don't know. This is going to be like really long. I do 95% of shopping outside of session, says Mosh Tradamoose. 95% out of session, though text/group chat. Oh, through text and group chat. Ever since, it's been much easier. So that was also interesting to hear. Again, this was like there was a lot of people who were jumping in, going, "Yeah, we don't even do shopping." Okay, this person, Devious Hearts Ninja'd, says this so much. If they insist on role playing it, they need to set aside a time that can meet you privately and not domineer the game time. Also, self-care is important. Be well fed and rested. Okay, because this was in response to the fact that I was telling the people I was tired, and I was mostly tired because I'd been at the beach all day long. All right, some more stuff. Get some sleep, have a good meal, relax. Good luck with Dragonbane. All right, Red Dead 2 Evolved. I don't know what it is. R2D2. There we go. R2D2 Evolved. Okay. I have printouts for handling in-session shopping. Okay. So that was an idea that I had not really thought of either. I was like, oh, we just kind of make up a shop, you know, look at the book, open up the things. But they have like pre-made printouts. So I have printouts for handling in-session shopping. It includes items and weapon descriptions. I'll go around the table and ask players what they want to do and give the handouts to the shoppers. They get back, they get to look at the prices while the PCs who seek info can peruse. I get back to the shoppers afterwards with questions that are not covered by the printout, such as commissioning for things from smiths or artisans. I thought that was a really cool idea. Just having like like basically like a pre-made sheet with a shop, like maybe it's an index card, maybe it's a little bigger. You've got prices, and some details about the items that are for sale. I thought that's a little over and beyond on prep. Like I'm probably under that on prep, but that was pretty cool. So, and it was cool enough that I thought about like, how would I do it exactly? Maybe with tables or something, or like a spreadsheet. Anyways, okay, Wizards of the Tower says, easiest way to do shopping, don't let the haggling prices role-playing slow down the game. Tell players to write down a list of what they want as well as prices in the book. Have them hand you said list. You mark what they can buy and at what price and go. Too many times I've had one player want to go into every place in a settlement and try to RP to role-playing haggling prices to the bereft of every other player. Oh, and let them know beforehand if magic is available, including potions. In my game worlds, players know there are no magic shops. You might be lucky to stumble upon something some shop owner bought at a major discount, only to pawn star up the price. Yeah, this is a helpful one, because this one, okay, in this comment, there's a lot of world building that goes on, right? Like, and me reading this thing, I can already sense like, oh, they've done a lot more world building in their shop design than I have. Like, for example, the having no magic shops is like, that's a cool idea, right? Like, hey, if you want to find cool magic items, you're going to have to go out and adventure for them, right? These shops have like boring stuff that everyone would have, but magic is going to be hard to find. So that's cool. Also, like the tip to not allow the role-playing haggling to slow everything down. I think that's also helpful because, especially in those settlement environments, I have a tendency to kind of go, oh, I want to let my players do whatever they want because I know this might be boring or something or whatever. And since it's not like an engaging narrative thing, also my fault, then, I have a tendency to want to let the players just constantly RP haggle. So good tips. Gary, how's it going? Welcome back to you. Dinner was excellent. You went to McDonald's. That sounds really good, actually. I saw an advertisement for McDonald's on the way to LA Children's Hospital, and it looked good. It was like 2 things for $3 or whatever, and I was like, an Egg McMuffin sounds delicious. So, TSL Frontman says, items in the form of cards can work. You can hand them out specifically as rewards or reveal. This shopkeeper has these 6 items. I'm a big fan of using cards. That's a really good idea, TSL Frontman. And as you were saying that, yeah, it occurred to me like I could use little Pokemon trading card sleeves and make like a catalog for different shops. That's obviously a really cool idea. Thank you. All right, let me continue. Let's see, Wizards of the Tower. Oh, Mr. Pirate Dancer says anything physical can make a session more fun. That's a great point. I think my players like things like miniatures. They like when I have maps, and they do like when I get to hand them a book for something. I don't do it often, but all right. That was Wizards of the Tower's comment. Okay, Will Mendoza says, I generally don't run shopping. This was another one where I was like, okay, I get it. I'm supposed to not be running shopping. All right, mundane items that make sense. Okay, let's see. Okay, they find them, they pay for them, that's it. It takes 10 to 20 seconds. If they're looking for something rare, dangerous, or illegal, then it's probably a mini quest. Man, like right there, great idea, okay? Like, if my players are looking for a spider saddle, there's nowhere in the town for it, but the shopkeeper says, yes, I can make this for you. If you guys go on this quick errand for me or something, or if you go get the leather that I need, I'll let you pay the cost, but first you gotta go find, whatever, like, that's an awesome idea, okay? And
something that could make the game with the
okay, if you're gonna interrupt, you gotta talk loud so I can hear you.
Something that could make the game with the goblins more fun would be if you built out the little hut area.
You want me to get on building terrain? So he's not happy with just having a map and miniatures. This is what I gotta deal with, right? This is what I gotta deal with.
Makes it more fun.
So he wants me. The map they're playing on is like this bog. It's a swamp. Okay. Should I get out a bin with some liquid in it so you guys can fall? Get out of here. Go watch Sherlock.
But
okay.
If you made it like we did with the Star Wars terrain and.
Okay.
It doesn't have
so
to
when we were playing
D&D,
and we had like the city, and I built that whole city out of cardboard boxes. That was cool.
Yeah, like
okay.
when you build the things out of the.
He just wants to play a war game. He wants to play a war game every time, right?
Yeah.
He just wants to get out a whole army. All right, I get you. I thank you. Thank you for your tips. All right. I think I already read this. Hang on, did I weigh this? Okay. Downtime. Mini quest, right? Okay, let me get the rest of it. Additionally, I treat shopping as a downtime activity most of the time. So they have, so they have each wait if they want to shop. I think it's supposed to be like wait, like time. If they want to shop, to study, or to carouse. Okay, so sounds like they're doing it like in turns or something. Anyways, I like the idea of the mini quest. Sorry, I didn't mean to shut you down about the. No, I didn't mean to shut you down about the live terrain. I appreciate your suggestion for that. You letting me know that you like the live terrain gets in my brain to set up scenarios that have the live terrain. Okay, yeah. I'm not trying to shut you down. I'm just trying to stay a little bit focused, and I'm struggling. All right. TSL Frontman says, I second Mr. Pirate Dancer. Physical things are immediately real to the players. It seems my son would agree with you guys. He like, so we had in our Dungeons and Dragons campaign in the Eberron setting, we had like this town called Salvation. And I built it out of like cardboard boxes, and I put like a whole bunch of like catwalks and walkways and tall buildings, and and so when they came back from this adventure and got into a fight with like a giant Lord of Blades mech, it was this epic, awesome moment, and they had fun like trying to run around the buildings and not die. All right, anyways, physical things, got it. Glazes says, don't let it linger. Okay, so this is more of a comment. This first part is more of a comment about me being bummed that I had a bad game. So, sucking at something is the first step towards being kind of good at something. All right, that's fair. So, shopping advice. All right, so this person came up with several suggestions. Let's go through them. Shopping advice. Coming up with shops and shopkeepers are a thing that can live in your prep time. Shadow Dark has random tables for that kind of thing. And if you want a place to start, if you want a place to start defining them. So that's a great suggestion, because that kind of puts front and center the idea of the shops and shopkeepers, as in giving them some personality. And I think that's the thing that my city was lacking. I had like 2 unique shopkeepers that were, sort of traveling merchants. And they were okay. They weren't like super interesting or anything. And that was my problem. I didn't make them real characters. All right. Number 2 from Glazius. Work out how much of a challenge buying stuff is supposed to be. Shadow Dark uses gear slots to restrict the total amount of stuff people bring into the dungeon. So you shouldn't feel like you have to throw up extra barriers to exchange currency for standard gear items at the marketplace. That's a really good point. That I don't really need to increase the prices of gear and like basically make it harder for players to have gear. So that's good. And some of these suggestions seem specifically geared towards Shadow Dark, but they might not be. If necessary, work out the challenge. Usually only if people want to sell or buy something unusual. In Shadow Dark's case, that's maybe mithril armor or magic items from shops already established to sell them. Haggling doesn't really come in for small potatoes purchases like standard gear, and always consider using time as a cost instead of money. In the sense of it being ready next time you get back to town, a spider saddle and a flaming sword are worth spending a little more time on because they're unusual and powerful. Hey Bishop, can you close the door there? I can hear you talking and it's throwing me off while I'm trying to read. Okay, so that one is. Are you okay?
I was trying to get the dogs.
Yeah, okay, they're fine. Leave them be. All right. I checked out while reading part of that one, so it says, okay, basically, I guess don't allow haggling to come into play for standard gear, okay? And then the spider saddle and things can be like quests or harder to find, okay. Number 4, if people want to spend money on flavor, do add a little bit of spice. While there's no mechanical impact, it makes sense to buy new clothes or to replace worn down gear. You can use the purchase to say something about the settlement or the shopkeep, what colors and styles and materials they favor, or just to look at random item details, or just look at random item detail table for inspiration. So that's a good suggestion because it adds depth and like breadth to the world building. If you have shopkeepers that have, favorite items or knickknacks, or you're allowing your players to buy capes or something. So that's helpful. Skip what's not important. If tracking time is important, box out in advance and ask people to fill in their boxes. That was a helpful tip because that's something I definitely should have done in our game. I did not do that and things got off time. And then my friend Marshall in Thailand, he got upset because he was like, wait a second, you said it's 7 o'clock, but I'm doing this thing at 6 o'clock. And And so that messed everything up. And what I needed to have done is ahead of time box out time slots so that I can go, okay, 6 o'clock, what is everyone doing, or something. All right, long conversations aren't likely to be important outside of the structure of a challenge. If people want to kill time doing something, give them an overall description. And if in your hunter's case, maybe a single test to determine how well the hunt goes. Since most of the charitable interpretation of what they're doing is trying to get rations for free, maybe with an intact pelt if they knock it out of the park. And that was also a good idea because I could have sped along, like Landon says he wants to get a raccoon. And all I got to do is go, okay, you want to go hunt a raccoon, roll the dice. Okay, you do not find any raccoons. And I could have gotten through a lot of that thing and then gotten the game back on track. All right, so I said thank you for taking the time to write those things out. All right, Bobby Crosby. Okay, in my experience, kids love shopping and adults hate it. I thought this was a funny one because my son and his friends seem to both like shopping, but my son's mom also seems to like shopping, and I can't tell if anyone else at my table did. Like, my wife didn't really do much. My son's uncle didn't really do much, and my friend in Thailand he was like, I don't want to shop at all. So, all right. So unless they all love it, just do it in a side session. You can even rewind time and let them shop in the past before they left town to give it to their future selves, which I thought was a good idea because it's like the Blades in the Dark thing. That's actually one of the ones I suggested to my parties when we're doing Stars and Wishes. I was like, hey, maybe we'll just do the Blades in the Dark thing, and you have the item that you're looking for, and we play that out a little bit. But most people at the table were like, no, we kind of like the limit of the inventory. And I was like, you know what? That's actually right. I'm glad they rejected that because I was trying to solve a problem with something that would probably have caused a worse problem. TSL Frontman says, I recommend, let's see, hold on, wait. He's talking about the physical stuff. Maybe see, I recommend them to everyone. You can also use the image to print out single things like goblins. Like a goblin's face or a skeleton to use as cheap G&D models and things. Oh, okay. So I think he's talking about miniatures and stuff. And yeah, I've heard regarding using miniatures and terrain and stuff. I've heard people on both sides of that. Like, some people are like, this is supposed to be theater of the mind. Don't use miniatures. And then some people are like, hey, use miniatures. It helps people like visualize what's going on in the world and stuff. So I think it might be a taste thing. And for my table in particular, I think it's a taste thing that most of my players like. My friend in Thailand, I know, appreciates it because he can tell what's going on because we got like a little camera aimed down at the board. All right, let me get back to it. Sonic Expert says, yeah, this is why I stopped doing shopping sessions in general. I use Discord a lot now, even for my in-person campaigns. So that way people can just put in various chats what things they want. What they want to do away from the table, meaning background stuff like shopping. So this person's like, we don't even do shopping in session, we just cover it in Discord. I know shows like Critical Role are kind of famous for having memorable NPCs at various merchant outlets, but that's just not my speed. There's obviously lots of great advice here, but one thing I haven't seen yet, when the session feels like it's dragging out, check the Something Happens table, or maybe one of the random encounter tables that fits the current locale. Suddenly, shopping is interrupted by something exciting. I thought that was a great tip. That was so helpful because I've completely forgotten to use the Something Happens table a lot of the time. And so the two main things that this person says is like, just don't have shopping, but do it in Discord. But I think this middle point is kind of an interesting thing. It's like he's seen this person. She has seen Critical Role before, and they've seen Critical Role do like really, really interesting NPCs and, like characters and stuff. And so there's kind of this sense that's like, well, if I can't do it as good as Critical Role, then don't do it. Which, I mean, that's kind of a bummer, right? It's kind of a bummer. But I get it, if I had ever seen Critical Role, I probably wouldn't be DMing because I'd be like, I can't do this. I've only seen parts. All right, so I said thank you and thank them for reminding me about the Something Happens table. This person said Kids on Brooms is great. I think because I mentioned Kids on Brooms in that video, I mentioned that I was looking into possibly getting that game for my son's friend Landon. All right, let's go on. Solomir says, for me, shopping is downtime / out of character. Unless there is some other extended point to it, like those quests that I had mentioned. If people are banging on the questions, to be honest, it's easier to just let go of some of the nitty gritty. and the need to get every detail right here. Set some general guidelines and let them describe their own equipment within reason. That's also helpful because there are aspects of this kind of minutia that come into the shopping thing that I guess if you just ask your players, like, what's the thing you're looking for? And their answer might be like, oh, I'm trying to look unique or something. Hey, what's going on, Content Surprise? You did catch me. I am reading through the comments of one of my recent videos to answer the questions people might have about how to run shopping in their tabletop role-playing games. Got a lot of really good suggestions, so I'm just going to allow my comments section to make a video for me. And I think I mentioned earlier in this video, going forward, I'm just going to title the video that I'm going to do this type of thing with. I'm going to say, like, help me make a video. So if you see that, go in there and comment with your ideas because I'm going to go make a video. That way I will also remember because I forget so much stuff. So, all right, we got Solmir. We're down to Casey Wilkins music. And if you have any thoughts and you're watching it in the chat and I touch on something and you have something to add to it, please feel free. I'm watching both things. Maybe. I'll see if I can do both. All right, Casey Wilkes Music says, if players are more interested in shopping than the meat of the game, this one was a stingy one. Okay, if players are more interested in the shopping than the meat of the game, then either the players are collectively also tired for the game, or they find the fun in that. So tired for the game, or they find the fun in that. It sounds like only half the group is finding fun in it to shop, so I'd gloss over it. Okay, never mind. This was not the one that was kind of salty. There was one I thought that said, or you know what, maybe I just read this one wrong 2 different times. Initially, I thought this one was saying if the players think the shopping is more fun than your game, then your game is terrible. But there actually may be one in here that says that. I can't remember now. Anyways, this person's saying, like, it might be possible that your players just find fun in shopping. Which, you know, my thought is like, well, maybe there's like a game that features shopping. You can play with those players or something. But, all right, and then I mentioned to them about half of my players love shopping and half of them are like, they want the real story. The K5K says, some players like to roleplay shopping, most don't. To keep things enjoyable for all, I'd suggest role-playing one short shopping encounter, say for that special spider saddle. But ordinary equipment being purchased doesn't need roleplay. It can be hand-waved with, yes, that's available, write it down, cross off the gold. While you do that, we're going to go take Bob and Bill over here hunting in the outskirts of the village. That was also very good. That was simple. That summarized the thing that was going to be happening. Like, you guys want to go shopping, but at the same time, it kind of dismisses all the mundane part. So I thought that was a helpful suggestion. Dr. Waits says, we all have bad sessions. Don't take it personally. That was kind. As for shopping, that should be off screen. Okay, so this was another person who was like, don't even do shopping in your main session. Tell them to make a list of what they want to buy. Anything that's standard should be okay. Just let them buy stuff like torches, rations, arrows. Magic items need to be okayed or role-played for that type of stuff. But the mundane, it's like an action movie. We don't need to see people buying ammo. Okay, so another person basically going, I don't even do that. By the time I got to this comment, I was like, okay, I'm getting the idea that it's pretty common that people just might not run shopping in their games. And that was like, okay, so are people just not running shopping in their games? You know, I mean, like, okay, if you are running a game, do you do shopping in your game? I'm interested, just post it in the comments here or post it in the chat or something. I'm interested to know because my thought after reading through all the comments, I actually have picked a comment that kind of gave me that's what I think my table would like idea, right? I haven't gotten to it yet, but when I do get to it, I'll point out like, this is probably what I'm going to do. Anyways, there was a whole bunch of these, like, I just don't do shopping. And so I got the idea, like, wow, maybe a bunch of people just don't do shopping in the games. All right. So Satori said, you should have let them split up. Oh, I'm sorry. I should not have let them split up. You did fine with the blacksmith hook, but you should, have had a hook. Oh, for each. Okay. This was a good comment. I really like this one. Okay. So, first I should not have let them split up, but I did fine with the blacksmith's hook, but I should have had a hook for each character or enemy or ally for each. Basically, I should have had like stuff for each of them to do that was unique. And that's a bummer because after they said it, I was like, oh yeah, I totally messed up on that. Like, I should have had interesting characters or something or interactions for each of the players. And then I had asked Satori earlier what the name of the module was that Satori had recommended to me, and it was Spectacular Settlement. Spectacular Settlements. So this is like a book or a compendium you look up. I think I asked where I can find the book, and he hasn't responded yet. So hopefully he does, but I'm guessing it's like TTRPG or Drive-Through RPG. So you can just go to Drive-Through RPG or something and look up Spectacular Settlements and get that book. I think I even took a picture of it now, so that should be at the top of my list of things to look for next. All right, let's see. We have some more stuff going on in chat here. Let's see. Okay, Pirate Dancer says, I thought the minis versus Theater of the Mind was taste also, but now I think it depends more on the scene. Mind is great for scary scenes because you don't have to be exact what the monster is or where it is. Interesting. Okay, so Mr. Pirate Dancer, you have touched on something that I was actually going to make so the very next video I plan on making is one of these, like, I'm gonna stream you guys' responses. And that video is help me make a video. How do you run scary games, right? And the main reason I'm asking is because I actually don't know. I have no idea how you run a scary game. Like, I know I could like lean into like horror and scary stuff. Don't answer here. Don't give the answer here, because I'm gonna go scouring through the video I make tomorrow for those comments. And the mistake I made in the past was I've made a video and then I make shorts, and I'm just not gonna do the shorts anymore because like people comment on those, and sometimes their comments are related to the answer. Anyway, so I'm just gonna try and avoid the shorts as much as possible. I was reading comments. Yes. Anyway, so Mr. Pirate, you remind me that I do have questions about scary scenes, but the point that you're making about using miniatures versus not using miniatures for a scary game, that's very interesting because I would have never thought of that. But that's a really good point. Like, if I have miniatures on the table, maybe the game is not nearly as scary as if I'm running Theater of the Mind. That's that is deep, in fact. All right, let me keep going. Okay, so Gary agrees. Let's see. Agile Monk comes in, says hello. Waves, how's it going? How you doing, Agile Monk? Content Surprise says mundane items. No, honestly, since okay, so he's answering the question. Does he do shopping in his game? So not for so. Content Surprise does not do it for mundane items. Honestly, since I don't run sessions. Oh, sorry. Honestly, since I don't run serious encumbrance rules, I let players pull out whatever mundane item from their pack they can justify. That's a really interesting point. So since you don't run encumbrance, like, the players just have pliers when they need pliers. Okay, that's clever. Okay. I guess my question would be, does that take away from the puzzle mechanics of your game? Like, if the players can just say, for example, they have pliers, or I don't know, like a bilge pump or something. No, that's too much. Like a bellows or something, like maybe something that can fit in their bag, like a small bellows. And a bellows answers the solution to the problem. Would you allow them to pull a bellows out of their bag? All right, hang on, I lost the rest of it. Okay, magic items and special purchases. Yes, you do have them run those. Okay. Then Content Surprise responds with hello to Agile. A couple more hellos to Agile. And Gary says, I generally let them split up. Oh, but they generally wind up regretting it. Okay, I tend to let my players split up as well. But then, yes, one side of them is always upset about it because the other side is now doing an interesting thing and they're way over there. And, so, all right, let me go back to this. Let's see. Okay, shouldn't have split them up. Okay, I read that. If anyone knows the answer to the where to find spectacular settlements, you can definitely post that in the chat, because I'm sure that would be a helpful book for people. All right. Love Pro Wrestling says this was one of the first, this was an interesting one to me, because this is one of the first comments I read, because I read so many that were like, just dump the shopping, stop shopping in the game. Like, I read so many of those in a row. And then I read this one from Love Pro Wrestling. Like, I was totally on board with the dump shopping thing, and I was like getting ready to, like, okay, players, no more shopping, suck it, right? But then I read this one. It said, there is not the adventure and the shopping. They are both the adventure. Anything that might happen outside the store can happen inside as well. Hints, rumors, meetings, allies, and foes. Thievery, trickery, magic, whatever exists in your world. I read this one and I was like, dang it. Because like, I instantly knew I hadn't been running my shops as interestingly as I'd been trying to run the world. Like, I'd been running shops like a stupid video game, right? You come in the shop and the shop owner is like, would you please record this thing into this thing for me? And it's like, hi, I'm Commander Shepard. This is the greatest store in all the Citadel, right? Like, all my shops were just video games. And And so like the most interesting thing that happened in a shop was there'd be a discount or a magic item or something. But once I read this, I was like, man, I've never had like a pickpocket or like, yeah, you know, just cool stuff, right? Like, and so this gave me ideas, like none of these things, trickeries, magic, like so that was a really good suggestion. And that sent me reeling back the other direction of like, well, I don't want to get rid of all the shopping. I'll show you which one I've landed on. All right, so let's see. Your seat at the table says 'tis true. You find that pretty much everything in game is in the game, including shopping, investing, etc. And every last bit of that can be linked. If you want, or if you allow the setting and the NPCs to talk to you, and more importantly, to listen to what, listen to what they've got to say. Anyway, so I thought this was also good corroboration of Love Pro Wrestling's point, which was make the shops part of the adventure, right? And I was like, it's just more flavoring of that idea where, you know, like I started going back in my mind and thinking like, man, there's a lot of shops that had the potential to be really interesting. And like the most interesting thing I did was like, I can't even think of anything interesting. I'm just going to say I didn't do much interesting. Like I made magical items or cool things that my players were looking for, but I treated them just like shops, not like adventures. So that was, yeah. And so and I even said, thank you for explaining this. The problem is I'm running shops like video games. I'm basically running like TTRPG menus, okay, with like an NPC to flavor it a little bit. Let me get a drink while I look over the chat real quick. All right, let's see. Okay, so Content Surprise has a response to my question about the bellows. He says, I had to think about it. Good question about the mini bellows. If a player can solve my puzzle with a mundane item, I welcome the creativity. That is a baller answer. Content Surprise, that is a baller answer, because that, and now I'm like, I want to play one of your puzzles. You know, I mean, like I want to see one of your puzzles, right? That would be cool if I couldn't come up with a mundane item to solve your puzzle. Okay, I guess the potential is that you might be saying your puzzles have one way to solve them, which like they have to have the key or the number from the computer or something that they needed to have found on the doctor's body. And if that's the case, then I guess that's less interesting. But if you've got puzzles designed that a bellows doesn't solve, then I'd be interested to try one of your puzzles. All right, let's see. Gary says Savage Worlds allows you to use bennies. Okay, I remember the bennies, but if you could remind me, you're gonna tell me. You're about to tell me. Use bennies to make minor changes to the narrative. Okay, interesting. As making shopping part of the adventure. We talked about that. You're right. We did talk about making shopping part of the adventure, but I can't remember what the bennies do exactly. If you don't mind, like posting that down there so I can read it. Let's see. If I recall, it's like a bonus dice or something. I don't remember what the bennies are. So if you could post that so I can read it, let me know. All right, let me get back to the comments. Okay, Uncle Kale says, it has been a problem since the 90s, and it seems to be a problem still. There are a few ways to cut down on the shopping time. Are your players on an urgent quest? Okay, if my players are on urgent quests, make sure I remind them, okay? Make it clear they shouldn't spend too much time shopping. Don't they have a quest? Don't they have a quest at all? Give them one. That interrupts the scene. Not all shops have everything at hand. So preparing shop tables for common goods, weapons, and shops that may have one or more items, rare items in advance helps of course. Instead of playing out the shop, you could also go just say they found the fitting item they could buy. Interrupt the scene by a random event. So this is another recommendation to like add random tables into it. So I was like, oh man, yeah, I really missed out on that. The hunter got bitten and needed treatment. Someone calls for help, something like that. Or if you agree, or if you all agree in that, just make shopping a mechanical thing that interrupts the role playing. Also an interesting idea. It's basically like, you know, hey, you all get here early on Saturday. While you're having your snacks, I can bring out the menu of shopping items, right? Since you guys are in a town, here's the shopping items, and I can do it out of session. That was also a cool idea. I don't think that's what I'm gonna settle on though. Let's see. Okay, Gary says, hang on. All right, yeah, take your time, Gary. All right. Ducato says, in regards to shopping, unless I have an interesting NPC for the players to interact with, it is done off screen. And then he says, last night's session was a good example of this. The party is in a large city. The PC dwarven cleric has wanted a mount, and while in the merchant district, he sees an old grizzled dwarf leading a train of war goats to a merchant. The dwarven cleric approaches the NPC dwarf. We play out the encounter because the NPC dwarf turns out to be a legendary war hero that the PC dwarf has grown up hearing stories about. I'm like reading this, I'm like, dang it. This is already so interesting. You know, it's like, oh, okay, I've really failed my players in making, like, I'm gonna keep reading, but like I could be doing so much better, right? Okay. Meanwhile, another party member knows winter is coming, and they just got an adventure hook that will lead them to a cold climate. So he buys winter gear. Okay, this was done off camera. All right, so that's a cool. I was gonna say I wish I could highlight that. That's a cool dichotomy, like a split up. Like, hey, here's the one we ran, which was this interesting story because the person. Okay, so this dwarf's trying to find a mount. And so that's a thing we're going to play out, and the dwarf who's looking for a mount runs into a NPC who happens to be a legendary hero that the dwarf knew about, and you know, from the childhood or something. And so that can be like that can be like a really cool encounter, right? That can be like a really interesting moment for that player character, or for that player to play out, because that player gets to play out fanboy, right? Like that's a really cool role to play, like just adoring fan. That's awesome. So this shopping event basically gave his player the ability to play out a fanboy. Meanwhile, this other part, which is like buying winter's clothes, it's like, who cares, right? Anyways, I thought this was a really great example, and you know, this made me wish I was better at running TTRPGs. Honestly, it did. I was just like, okay, that's a really cool story, and I want to be more like that, right? Like I want to do that better. Okay. Let me get back to Gary's comment here about Savage Worlds. Okay, Savage Worlds. Oh, no, he hasn't got it yet. Never mind. All right. Kumit the Bear. Ahoy, lads. And Mr. Pirate Dancer agrees with ahoy, lads. How's it going? Ahoy, ahoy. Going through comments here. Just finished up a really good one from Decado. And yeah, that helped me a lot. Okay. This is a really long comment. And let's see the name of this person. Okay, so Creme Sonic Holes. Creme Sonic Holes leaves me really long comments. Sometimes it takes me a little bit of time to actually get to them because I see this block of text and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I have like a few minutes to go through comments, but this is going to take me a minute, right? So I'm going to go ahead and read. Am I going to read this whole thing? I feel like I'm going to read this whole thing. Tell me, should I read this whole thing? It's a long story about like this person's like life and stuff. You know what? Okay, I'm not, because I don't know if the, yeah, okay, because this, I think some of this comment has to do with like this person's like experiences growing up and stuff. That's at least how I read it. When I read it, I had some trouble trying to determine whether or not this was a fantasy thing that they were talking about or their actual childhood. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'm reading about this person's actual childhood, going shopping as a kid, and like how they experienced life and stuff. And so that was a really interesting thing. And so they bring some of their childhood experiences about like driving from their town to like the town where they used to go shopping. And so they treat it like a similar kind of adventure when they play TTRPGs. Like, you know, there's like the shop has changed or whatever since the last time you've been there or something. So they had a lot of interesting ideas that were fleshed in, that were put together with their real world story. So I'm gonna skip by the comment, and I guess, you know, here, Creme Sonic Coles, in the future, if you'd like me to read your comments in these type of videos, like I just want you to know ahead of time that I'm going to, okay? And I enjoy going through these, but they take me a little bit of time. All right, let me get back to, okay, so the two things that they pointed out were a couple different books here, and I'm going to highlight them. So perhaps the most valuable, perhaps most valuable about the core rulebook versus the basic fantasy equipment. Let me see if I can find the spot where they actually name the two books, because they name the two books, and I think I took a picture of them on my phone. There we go. Not found in the core rule book. There were two books. Pazio published over time. NPC Profession. All right, so Creme Sonic Coles. Next time, can you also do me a favor? Oh, wait, here we go. Can you also do me a favor putting the two books you're recommending down at the bottom as well? I promise to keep reading your comments, even when they're like 2 or 3 pages long, but just for sake of me finding the books later on, it's helpful if they're down at the bottom. Smaller sediments, nope, that's not a thing. Okay, so there were 2 books in here. I found them. I think I took a picture of them. I'm gonna have to, Basic Fantasy and Equipment, here it is, okay. Right here, the Basic Fantasy Equipment Emporium. So I haven't found that book yet, but that was one of the 2 books. There was another book on here, which I think was a core rule book from something on Large Merchant. All right, I'm not finding it, but I'm not gonna like dwell on it forever. There were 2 books. If you want to find them, you can always search this comment or whatever. But told him thank you for the resource books. If I said I added it, I'm pretty sure I took a picture of those. So, all right, and then let's see. Oh, good. Tell me good luck finding better games moving forward. Okay. All right. So Raz Steroid says they can't all be zingers, and I agree. All right, Frostspike. Let me get into Frostspike's suggestion here. All right, so thank you, Gary Weinhammer. It says page 89 of the core rule book. Can't seem to copy and paste it. That's okay. All right, I have the core rule book right next to me still. I'll look it up after the stream. All right, Frostspike says, it happens. Don't sweat it. Life gets in the way on occasion. If I'm not feeling up to running the session, I tell the group as soon as I know. I would have a really hard time doing that. You know, like my son's uncle, when he drives out here, he's driving out from like LA. You know, there's no way my son's uncle drives out here and I'm like, sorry guys, I'm just not feeling it. Like if I knew ahead of time, like, okay, I'm sick or something. But then the other thing is like, man, my kid looks forward to this thing. My kid and his friend look forward to this thing. Like my son's friend, he's come over like almost, let me think, not quite every weekend for a year, but it's a lot. You know, it's a lot of D&D. It's now 8 sessions of Shadow Dark. This kid, like, he's given up his Saturday night to come hang out and play nerdy games with us. I would have a really hard time shutting that down just for those 2 kids. Ignoring even my wife, my friend in Thailand, or anyone else. Now, what I might do is be like, yo, I can't run, so we're gonna play Zombicide or something, you know? Maybe, but even then, like, that feels kind of bad. So, all right. Frostbite is saying that he'll say like, okay, if I'm not feeling up to running, I'll just tell my group as soon as I know. If it's complete cancel, then I might decide. To play a different game, like a board game or something, which I might join to when I can. If I just need another 30 minutes or an hour of prep time, we might just delay to start. That was actually helpful because oftentimes I'm rushing at the last minute and my players aren't generally ready to go. I could probably just say, hey, we're gonna start at 8:30 instead of 8, and they probably wouldn't mind. So I like that. That was a helpful tip. Frostbite also says, for shopping, we do it offline on Discord, either conversationally or just as lists of wishes, to which I then reply with costs and availability. I have a couple of people in my group who love to roleplay shopping trips, but it's not that fun for the others. What I do, once the mechanics of the shopping are sorted out, is generate 1 or 2 incidents that happened while the individuals were out carousing, shopping, or whatever, and then we play those out as a 5-minute spotlight at the table. I like that. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. I like it. These might be things that are seen, overheard, contacts they've met, items that they've been told about, highlights of particular interactions, etc. Even if a character stayed in their room reading, I'll have something happen, a noise in the street, a knock at the door, etc. The party as a whole can decide to follow up on those, follow up on any of those. These were awesome ideas. Like, I mean, I think after I heard Love Pro Wrestling's thing about making shopping interesting, I kind of dropped the idea of just not having any shopping. And so this was one of the ones that stuck out to me as like, ooh, maybe I would do this. And this is still up there on the list. And it's also one that I might lean into on occasion. Like maybe sometimes I'll do the other one that I haven't read yet, and maybe sometimes I'll do this. But I really like this idea of having a few different encounters. You know, the shopping's kind of sorted out behind the scenes, but then we still have like shopping-like role play time. You know what I mean? So I think that's a really cool idea. For item availability, you can just decide that a particular size settlement would have items up to a certain price limit in stock somewhere in the town, and assume the character shops around. Things beyond that price limit either simply won't be available or would be a small chance of having one, but it would also be overpriced. and or would require some sort of flavor to be done as of the exchange. If the party want to buy a lot of a particular item like health potions, just divide your price limit by the price of the item, and that'll be the number that are available. Obviously, this can lead to silly numbers, so just be prepared to hand wave things on occasion. If the party buy up a whole stock, it'll take quite a long time for the settlement to replenish the supply. This was also an excellent idea. So just about everything in Frostspike's thing was helpful to me. Again, I kind of dismissed the idea of not ever running the thing because I'm like, I can't. I can't not run it. Let's see. And then this whole section about like incidents that would happen was very interesting because I'm like, yeah, I gotta start doing that. Making shopping more interesting. For example, for my player Marshall in Thailand, like if I could have something that he's interested in doing during a shopping session, that'd be cool. So, and then I also like this stuff going out of stock. That's cool. All right, let me continue on. Salty Nick. Let's see. So Salty Nick says, I'm being too hard on myself. We can't always perform at our highest level. Or doing your best would just be doing your average. A tip that comes to mind, handle shopping outside the game between sessions. Also, if they're shopping during the session and it's taking very, very long because they don't want to make a mistake, you can speed it up by telling them to move on and you'll allow them to retroactively purchase something that their character would have reasonably remembered to purchase. That's a great idea. And that's something that I could tell my son and just be like, look, just later on when you tell me you would have thought of nails, just you have nails and mark off a silver, right? That's awesome because my son gets really compulsive trying to do shopping and he's like, but what if I get one less torch than what I need? So Salty Nick says kind of how in Ironsworn Delve you can roll plus supply to see if you have that item. That is also an interesting idea. That's kind of like Blades in the Dark where you do a flashback, but instead you just do a roll for it. Yeah, I like that suggestion. Dinko has also been running the Salty Nick has been running the pirate board campaigns, and this is the guy who got me playing pirate board. It was a great time. If I am correct, I think he's maybe running them this week as well. I could be wrong, but he has a whole Discord, and I think we posted a link to it on a different video. All right, Kumit the Bear. Actually, I have two things. No, I have one thing in chat here. Content Surprise says, you hear knocking at the door a lot. So Content Surprise used, you hear a knock at the door a lot in his last campaign. Interesting. And what do you generally have it be when they hear a knock at the door? Like, is it like an axe murderer or something? Or is it like a beggar? Like what's knocking at the door? Like that'd be a thing where I'm like, oh, who's knocking at the door? Like, what do I do for that? All right, Kumit the Bear says, let me take a sip first. It's a good thing I did because I messed up on Kumi the Bear and I called it Kumit the Bear. I do that a lot and I see this as an it. Kumi the Bear says, I've had a lot of success in Shadowdark settlements and even cities as a big port, as big as Port. Oh my goodness, how do you say that? Nyanzaru. Okay, that's, I guess, it's from a 5e module. TOA. TOA. I don't know what that stands for. By sticking to the core principle of Shadowdark, everything stays in turn order. And that we've been doing that pretty consistently with a little twist. If they want to stay in the city for hours, days, or weeks, I break down that turn into turns. I break that down into turns and then focus on each character. Example, okay, you guys just want to spend one day in the town. Consider your turns to be hours long. What does your character want to achieve in this time? Then I'll go around the table and in turn order ask the players what they want. Buy a new sword, fix a thing, follow up on a lead, explore that district. I let the players lead the activity and we assume all characters are along for the ride. Okay. First player is like, I just want to buy a sword. So we do it above the table with minimal role playing. I might describe the district or the blacksmith, maybe a few one-liners for flavor, then turn to the rest of the group and ask if anyone else wanted to buy something while we were here and resolve that. I turn to the next player. What do you want to do over the next few hours? Fix something sweet. Give me a roll. Insert or ask for a description. And we move on. Third player wants to follow up on a lead that may turn into a brief role-playing session where I invite the other players to join in as their characters are tagging along, etc. I go around the table like this, and if the mood strikes, I'll roll for random city encounter on each of their hours-long turns, And if it's a combat, all players who are tagging along get to join in. This was I like this. This was a cool idea. And I think I'm going to continue reading in just a second, but I think the main thing that stuck out to me was asking this question. Where was the question? Right here. Let's see. Like, you want basically asking them, how long do you want to stay in town? That's exactly what I failed to do. I failed to do that in our session. So my friend from Thailand was like, sweet, I'm getting out of here like really fast. We're all going to get out of here at 7 a.m. The rest of my players are like, the shop's only open at 7 a.m. We're going to start shopping at 7 a.m. My hunting player was like, I'm going out of the town. So like everyone was doing different stuff, and I failed to go, what time do you guys want to get out of town? And if I had just said, what time do you guys want to get out of town, and made my players talk amongst each other, my players would have had to have convinced Marshall's player or character to stop trying to get out of town so quickly. And since Marshall's character follows the orders of my wife's character, he would have had to have listened to her. So that would have solved a lot of the problem we had with the shopping thing. All right, let me go back to the rest of their comment here. Okay. I found it works well for keeping everyone engaged, and I make it quite clear that at the end of the round, the day will be over. I've expanded this method out to cover a week, each day being a turn, or just asking, what do you want to achieve over the week? I keep time a little abstract and include downtime activities, but make sure if something exciting happens, the assumption is all the characters happen to be there, so no one is left out of the cool scene. I love that. I don't know exactly how to make it work. But I think you just kind of like eliminate the suspension of disbelief need or something. So I like the expanded to cover a week. That's pretty helpful if you need to do that. Okay. My trouble is if we have a time period, and the thing is, I might be thinking about it too realistically or something, right? I might be thinking about it in too realistic terms, but I do love the idea of not having anyone get left out of a cool scene. Like that is a really solid idea, because sometimes that happens in my game, and after I read this, I'm like, yeah, never again. It's like a dramatic, like, I could never do this to my players. That's so sad. And it is kind of sad to have those things where your players don't get to participate in the cool scene, and they would have stuff to do and say. So I think this is probably one of the top things I'm taking from this. Plus the idea that I don't have to always run things in my game like shopping. That's a big thing. Hang on, there's a couple things that have popped up in the chat here. All right, so Content Surprise says, I think this is in regards to what you hear knocking at the door. They're friends, people with requests, customers. They lived in their shop. Oh, okay, Content Surprise, what kind of game were you playing that the players had a shop? Was that like a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition game, or what was that? That's interesting. Representatives from a gang faction, people offering them something to stop bothering them. Okay, oh wow. All right, so yeah, I'm curious about your players owning a shop and how you, like, what you did to go run it and stuff. Gary says, as far as using random tables, remember, not every random table has to be 100 items. Your random tables may only have 6 options. Maybe you have a master list, maybe you have a master list for your bazaar. Then you have a smaller sub list for potions or something like that. That's a really good idea. And I think that's some easy prep I can do, because I can probably find someone on like Reddit or something that has some of those random tables. I found some pretty good random tables on Reddit for something, and now I can't even remember what they were for. Maybe they're for hex crawl ideas or something. Oh, no, that's what it was. I found random tables for magical items. I think this was actually Ben Milton's recommendation, but I did find a link to them on Reddit, and it was essentially like 100 or 200 magical items that aren't like a +1. It's like one of them is like a gummy bear, and you chew it in your mouth, and it becomes like a little walking, talking miniature golem of you, like a gummy golem, and it looks just like you. It was like it's just a ridiculous, dumb item, but my players have had fun with it, right? Because they rolled one of those. Anyway, so that's a good idea, Gary. Thank you. Getting items broken down into different like brackets of items. All right, hold on. Okay, join in the fun. Okay, I'm still going through Kumi the Bears. All right, let's see. I found it works well for keeping everyone engaged. I already read that part. Okay, left out a scene. Okay, I think I got this method from Index Card RPG. Okay, that's a really good selling pitch for Index Card RPG, because that's I like that. The idea that the turn can be abstract, 6 seconds in combat, 10 minutes while exploring the dungeon, several hours or even days while traveling or in a settlement. Players get to take one action on their turn, but that action might be shopping for a few hours until they find the sword they're looking for at the marketplace. Yeah, that was a great series of explanations for like if that is an index card RPG, like that's awesome. All right. And I responded to it, but I'm not going to go through my response because apparently I wrote more. It's not too much, but I think I thanked him for sharing his thoughts. All right. M. Gunnarsson, I think I got that right. Man, a lot of people saying they skip shopping segments, but so I noticed that too, and I was like, yeah, a lot of people are saying they skip the shopping segments, but a lot of good story can come from these interactions. If I can offer an alternative, I think the real element missing here is honesty with yourself and your table. There is no, they say no gaming is better than bad gaming. If you're really zonked and short on energy and didn't have the time you needed to prep for the game, be honest with yourself and your players about it. Maybe all you have is the shopping part. That's okay, right? But be upfront with it. Hey guys, burning at both ends today. Didn't have time to prepare what I would like to have, what I would have wanted to. Is it cool if we just do some shopping and some other upkeep stuff today, and we pick up the adventure next session? If the players aren't into that, no big deal. Let them bow out and do their shopping offline. Anyway, so that's cool. That's a really helpful idea. I just realized the thing he mentioned down here implies that this game is an online session, which I thought was interesting because that's almost like an automatic thought. And I guess my thought is, are more people playing online than in person? And even as I'm saying those words, I think the answer is more people are playing online. That's so incredibly sad to me. All right. Anyways, this was a good suggestion because, yeah, that's something I definitely have a hard time doing. Like, if I'm not feeling like the game, I have, like, I'm gonna be like, pick myself up by my bootstraps and, try and muscle on. But, yeah, I thanked him for his suggestion for further honesty. All right. Something moved here a minute ago. Let's see. Oh, a couple things moved. Hang on. There we go. Okay. All right. So Steve Cavades. I'm not saying that right. I know it. Says hello. Hello, Steve. How's it going? Content Surprise talking about his campaign that he was running a shop in. Says it was a 5e urban campaign. They expressed interest in a ganged theme gang. Interesting. They earned a deed to an abandoned bar, and I let them choose what they wanted to make it. All right, then people saying hello to Steve. All right, Gary laughing. Sounds like a gummy you might find in a dispensary. I think it was a gummy bear that they found inside of a mimic. If I'm right, it might have been one that they found inside of a mimic chest. All right, Mr. Pirate Dancer saying hi to Steve. Okay, back to the comments. Pogo Donuts. That's cute. I don't think I've ever actually pronounced that name right. I just read it. Pogo Donuts. Whenever my players are in town, I just say any basic equipment, weapons, armor in the rulebook can be found in town. And players can subtract gold and add it to their sheet. If they want magic items, mithril armor, basically anything special, they have to go and find it. And any time spent in settlement is spent doing important stuff or just going to the next stage of the mission. That's pretty handy. That's kind of like saying we do the shopping out of game, but it's also just making the shopping for mundane items not a thing, which I think I like as well. That's also really helpful. Crafty Matt says that bad sessions happen and also do shopping during downtime. I'm serious. Like, so many people are like, what are you doing running shopping in your game? It started to make me feel like, what? How did I not know this? How did I not know that you just ignore the shop? I've had so many sessions with like shopping. Like, it wasn't like a majority of our game. But we had a whole campaign in Water's Deep Dragon Heist. Oh man, I got it right. Cool. And there was just like, I think it was almost every session. My son was like, I'm going to go to the shop and see if I can find this thing. And, then someone else was like, I'm going to go to the shop and see if we had so many shopping things during that campaign because it was taking place in a city. Taking a sip. The problem with drinking kombucha is it makes me burp. Sorry. All right. Pichu Rixtha. This is also another name I've never tried to pronounce out loud. Pichul Rix. It's like some sort of Cthulhu word or something. I don't know how to pronounce R-I-X. Rizd? I'm not going to try anymore. I'm butchering it. All right. It's like running. Okay. Did you get, okay. So this is an encouragement, a message. It's like running. Did you get off the couch? Then it wasn't bad. Would a rest day have been better? Maybe, but now you know when to rest and when to push through. And that's, that's helpful, because when I come out of one of these videos, I'm still feeling like a little bummed about the session even today. And so when I read something like that, it's so helpful. Like, hey, because sometimes I perceive okay, here, this is a really good point, right? I'm reading, up here, let me find the dude who's got the little army fatigues, face. Here we go. Okay. I'm reading here in Decato's description of okay, the party's in a large city. The dwarven cleric wants to find a mount. Okay, finds a goat merchant, approaches him, finds out that when I read this thing, I'm like, oh man, there's people who are playing this game really well, and that's the thing is, like, when I was playing D&D 5th edition, I had the sense I was a pretty good dungeon master. But that was because no one else at the table was willing to do it, right? So there was basically like 6 people who were, like, yeah, you're doing a great job, right? And so since every week I'm hearing, yeah, you're doing a great job, I'm like, oh, I must be pretty good at this. Like, good job, Nate. And then I start reading some of this stuff and it's like, I'm not doing, there's that burp I mentioned. I'm not doing this nearly as well as some other people are. Okay, so let's see if I remember what that was just related to. I was down by Pichu Rylith. There we go, down here. Okay. All right. So yeah. So when I see an encouragement thing, it's like sometimes these things I just experience, like running a bad game. Like, obviously, I think people had bad games, but my mind is like, okay, that's something for first time or third time players or whatever. People who've been doing this as veterans for a long time shouldn't be having bad games or something. I don't know. Maybe that was a stupid thought that I had. So when I read something that's like, hey, yeah, don't worry, keep on rolling, it's actually helpful. So I appreciate that. Thank you. I missed a couple things. Hang on a second. Let's see. Nope. Let's see. Okay, there. Just one thing. Okay, I will default back to your original comment. Did you learn something? Gary, I did learn something. I mean, in fact, I learned so many things just going through these comments. But even just looking at our session on its own, I'm like, yeah, I messed up. Like, before I'd even made the video or looked at the comments, I kind of knew, like, okay, I messed up with shopping, but I don't know exactly how I messed up with shopping. Maybe by having it, maybe by making it too long, I didn't quite know. And so all these comments really helped me to sort that out. Okay. All right. Johnny Saint says, I don't run shopping time. It's simple. You take the gold, you add stuff, and they have it. My players don't gather every weeks to waste 4 hours on shopping episodes. So that's a helpful comment as well, because that puts into perspective, like, hey, these players kind of want a more interesting story than, like, you go shopping, right? And that's really fair, because in my mind, even if the, okay, like, let's say there's 2 people or 3 people in my party that really like the shopping thing, what is it they like out of the shopping thing? He's probably right. It's probably not the you bought items. It's like the engagement with merchants and stuff. I think my ex-wife likes to do the bartering and making, like, merchant friends and stuff. So I could do the thing that Frostspike recommended by just running little things, like little shopping moments or something. Okay, let me keep going. Let's see. Thumbs up to you, Gary. And Steve says, bad sessions can happen to anyone of any experience level for tons of reasons. Yeah, I know. I'm dumb. I'm stupid. Like, I'm just like, this should not be something that happened to me. I don't know. I just, yeah, I do know that people, even people who are veterans of a thing, can still mess up on that thing. But here's the thing. Sometimes I'm reading these people's explanations of what they, like, the stuff that they come up with. Like, there are people who are responding to a video I make and they come up with, like, a thought, like, for example, here's one. After our last D&D session, my son's uncle's character, dies, and people wanted to go save him out of the fire. And I pretty much just shut it down. I was like, no, it doesn't happen. The roll's too high. You can't make it. Like, I really was just like, I was done with D&D. I was frustrated with the game. I was like, can't we just have one player die once in like the whole campaign? And so I was frustrated and I just ended it, right? And then I read all these comments in that video where people were like, you could have tried this. And I was like, dang it. Like I could have tried that. And their responses were so much better than what I came up with or what I did. So sometimes I'm reading that stuff and I'm like, oh, like, you guys aren't having bad sessions, you know? Like, you know, all right. Anyways, okay, let me keep going. CMOTD says, give them a tough guide. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Give them a rough guide of what the shops have for players to look at between sessions. Like, this village has the basic equipment for 1.5 of the normal cost. So they can tell you what they want. This is another person basically saying, yo, skip the shopping in game, okay? All right, let's see. Oh my goodness. I've never tried to pronounce this guy's name either. LM Hal. Oh no, I'm Hal. I'm Hal. Okay. I hate shopping in RPG sessions unless it's important. Clue drop, NPC contact stuff. Okay, all those things that have been mentioned before to make sure I put in the shopping. I fast forward and just have people tell me what they're looking for. I set a DC to find it. Most common things will automatically be available. Then I tell them a price. If they want to haggle, they get a chance to do that. NPC monster reaction rolls. I would just allocate 2 or 3 hours for gearing up and then hit the trail. Shopping montages are one of the least value-added ways to split up the party. A fast forward avoids doing that and also skips some dice goblin in the party trying to shoplift and then causing problems for the group, which I thought was funny. My son did that in one of our games. If you think about this in terms of Appendix N fiction, things like old Conan tales, shopping is pretty much hand-waved in modern terms. It's just not worth paying animators for a shopping scene. If you decide you want to role play the shopping, set a real-world timer and have each player state 2 to 3 objectives. I don't know how much you want to personalize the NPC merchants, but beyond the Chrome. But but I think the following in terms of tone and merchant dealing with. Sorry, I lost track of something because I misplaced a but. I think of the following in terms of tone of a merchant dealing with a group of strangers with a load of cash who are essentially tooled up like fantasy SWAT. Okay, so I thought that was also an interesting point because I sometimes forget to play into that. Like, oh, who are these swashbuckling adventurers dressed like, you know, like they are? So I forget to, and that's actually an interesting point. Career adventures packing loads of gear and weapons. Normal people do not go into dangerous ruins and poke death with a stick. They look at a problem for average people just going about their business. Shops are going to price hike. Oh, okay, yeah. I thought this was also a very interesting point. Shops are going to price hike if they can or upsell. If there is a shop in a place, it means there's a market for what they provide. They may decline services to people who look like trouble since they are getting by as is. They might even call the town watch if the party is causing a fuss. This could get a group 86 from a town. I find that cutting players off from safe rest provisions, restocking of gear, and carousing options can be a behavior modification tool if they're being bad customers. I also thought this was excellent as far as like fantasy role-playing ideas, because right there, like, okay, getting 86 from a town because you were doing bad things and the town's just like, sorry, you're not welcome back. I think that's a really cool narrative idea. And it's like, I don't even know if it's occurred to me before. Having the shops hike up the price based on adventurers coming to town, it's also interesting. And having NPCs in the store like respond like, oh, what's going on with you? Maybe even having NPCs hike up the price because they see adventurers, and they think they can like sell them on something, or they think they can overcharge them on something. I thought these were all great suggestions. All right, I wrote comments. I'm gonna keep avoiding my comments. I don't really care what I wrote. Okay, but I think the point I was trying to make was I generally try and respond to a comment if I have questions. If I don't respond to your comment, I saw it. As long as I put the heart on it, I saw it and I read it. Sometimes I read what you wrote and I have like a lot of questions, and then sometimes I have something to add. But I also don't want to just trap people in a comments rotation forever, because that feels cheap or something. So I am interested in engaging with the comments, but I don't want to be engagement farming. So if your thing doesn't lead me to a question, I'm not gonna ask questions I don't care about the answers to. There we go. That's what I'm trying to get to. All right. Rock on Dom. Rocco Dom. Don't beat yourself up, champ. You can't win them all. Sleep on it when you're ready. Read the wonderful suggestions in the comments. That is a great comment because there have been so many wonderful suggestions in the comments. All right, out-of-game shopping between sessions could do it. And yeah, there's a lot of people saying that. Wickedly had a good one that was helpful as well. I'm trying to remember it though. But I just saw this move. Let's see. Bad sessions can happen. Okay, we already read that one. Okay. TSL Frontman says it's never easy for 3+ people to share the DM's attention while shopping. This is very true. They're mainly engaged. They're engaging one player at a time while the rest listen to 2 people discuss a literal shopping list. Okay. Content surprise. You're very good at responding to comments. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let's see. Salty Nick. Wow, I caught a live stream. Hey, Dinko, how's it going? I actually read through your comment a little earlier. You're new, or you just jumped on, so I'm just going to update people on what I'm doing. I am answering the question of how to run better shopping scenarios by reading everyone's suggestions from the comments. I'll real quickly go over it again since there's more people in the chat right now, but I plan on making more of these videos, but they're going to be like little short, like 1 or 2 minute videos where I ask a question, and the video is going to literally have in the title say, help me make a video. And so if you see one of those and it's like, hey, how do you run scary games? Help me make a video. You'll know that your comment is going to go into one of these videos where I, read through everyone's suggestions and try and make a video, okay? Or maybe a live stream, I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know if people are watching live streams to get tips on how to run their games. So that's where I'm like, I don't know what's better, to make a short 30-minute video with these comments where I'm not talking and getting distracted and having dogs and pee and stuff, okay? Anyways, let's see. Hey, Nick, say okay. Heck yeah. You are famous. You're the guy who runs Pirate Borg now. And are you running Pirate Borg this week? I think I made the mistake of saying that you are running Pirate Borg this week, and maybe you aren't. And whoops, sorry. All right, let me take a sip and then get to Wickedly One. Pretty much guaranteed if I take a sip of kombucha before I start reading, like I'm gonna get a half paragraph down before a burp manages to come out. So this is a mistake of a drink. Wickedly One says there are a few ways to handle it. Chances are your players are very into shopping. Okay, that is 50% true. 3 of my players are totally into shopping. But as a DM, it has nothing to do with any plot. It will hit a point where players will start to get bored one by one, and that's a bigger problem. Sometimes it's early on because they already know what they wanted. Sometimes people's minds open up and they want to know what the specials are, what are the interesting things, etc. This was interesting because he pretty much perfectly described my table where Marshall's checked out, my son's uncle is checked out. There, thank goodness I wasn't reading. A bunch of people had basically checked out, and three of my players are shopping. Okay, all right. So here's the trick. Here's the trick or 2 you can do. 1, if you know they're going to the town, you can tell them you guys are going to arrive in town the following week. Figure out what you guys would like to buy so we can handle that and get back to playing. That way, the week comes up, they will have a list of things. You can tell them if it's there or if it's not. Number 2. Town is also adventure. The whole world can come to a town to make something happen. It could be a holiday, a major noble could stay for a week, a carnival is happening, there is a crime wave of thieves. Some other adventurers come in and they aren't as nice as your players. I thought this idea was awesome, like another adventuring party and they're like thugs. That's a really cool idea. Like, I'm probably going to implement that the very next time we go to a town because that's just such a fun idea. You guys have to take on another adventuring party, okay? They're not as nice as your players' characters, and they can take advantage of their position as professional killers. It will help engage those who are not engaged with the shopping so you can pivot to what is happening in town. Whatever it is, it's worth having a small list of events that will happen in town. It can straight up be an interlude. There's no combat, but there's a chance to role play and express character. At the same time, it can totally be about combat, or it can be a mix of both. A rambunctious, potentially drunk knight accompanying the local regent dares anyone to cross swords with him in a friendly duel. The players may or may not do so, but if they decide to be courageous and do so, the local visiting regent watches their prowess and engages them afterwards, giving them praise on their merit and asking for their company's name. Nothing has to come of it, but it's a way of having a fishing hook with no bait on it. If you have a neat story thread about someone who is kidnapped, you can tie it with a local regent. Stuff like that helps to make campaigns memorable. As for the simply shopping session, despite all my ideas, eventually you will have a session. This last one seems to have been one where it is what it is. It's just a slog. Nobody did anything wrong. It's just the way the game goes sometimes. These are just methods to help it feel less sluggy. I thought these are all excellent suggestions, and I really like the bullet point thing too. That helped me to like stay tracking with the ideas. And I want to get to where that one idea about the enemy group in town. Okay, so right here where he talked about the town is also the adventure place, and he gave a bunch of these examples. These were so helpful for me because, you know, I don't maybe I don't read enough, or I'm just reading I'm reading too many tabletop role-playing games. Sometimes like I don't come up with these ideas, and then I read one of these things and I'm like, how did I not come up with one of these ideas? This is an excellent idea to have. Basically this is like a Western idea. Like the players are in town, they're at the saloon, and then like, you know, like, and they go, who's outside, you know, and I can't do the tumbleweed noise or whatever, like the whistle thing, but all right, let's see. Salty Nick has jumped in. All right, see. Okay, so Salty Nick says he's not running the Pirate Borg game this week. Okay, he's recovering from the 8 games last week, but he'll probably run some next week. He'll announce it at least a week ahead of time. Let's see. He wants to rerun an adventure. Oh, okay, so I want to rerun an adventure you haven't played, by the way. Oh, well, okay, explain that. What do you mean rerun an adventure I haven't played? Oh, okay, so I get it. So you ran the undead one and I wasn't there for it, or one of those. You ran one of them I wasn't there for, and you wanted to try it with me. I would love to. Yeah, absolutely. Just message me. Message me on Discord like right now, because it'll leave a little red dot there and it'll remind me. So you can ping me about what day works for you. Okay, so yeah, I'll ping you about what day works for me. Probably actually, like, I don't see, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I don't know. Tell me what your list is, because I would like to get with the other players. It was really fun playing with other players. If I remember her name, Laura, she was also really fun. I liked her in both groups. Okay, let me see. I'll also run some Dead RPG in October, so be on the lookout. A horror game that causes a Jenga. Okay, it uses a Jenga tower instead of dice. I have seen the Jenga tower game in like someone's video. Anyway, that sounds cool. Okay. Let's see. Nick might like to see how. Oh, okay. So yeah, Gary. Nick, hook up with Gary here. Like hit Gary up, because he might have a lot of fun with Pirate Borg. He plays mostly Savage World, and trying Pirate Borg might be really interesting. And you said correct, the undead one, bit of a darker tone. Otherwise, okay, message me. Thank you so much. All right, so I just finished reading this one. Yeah, so the descriptions here, like this is one of those things where when I read one of these comments, it's like, not only do I learn a lot of stuff, but I also get a lot of ideas that, like, oh yeah, I just hadn't thought of having a bandit group come into the town. And I don't know, maybe this is something that comes with time and like more playing. Like the more playing I do, the better I'll get at it. That's my hope. That's my hope. And also, you guys have been teaching me so much. Nope, that's mine. Here's his. Okay. And then I hit like. Hit like on this thing. Okay. All right. Let me keep going. How's it going, Satori? I think I got to yours talking about the settlements book. And I responded to your comment about the settlements book in this video. If you know where that book can be found, can you post it down in the comments or the chat or something like that? Because I don't know where to find it, and I'm guessing like it's on Drive-Thru RPG. All right, this is KYJ, right? It all depends on your players and what they find enjoyable / interesting. Some love shopping, downtime sessions, some hate them, and some just want to have want it to be an email exchange at most. I would ask your players, and possibly if they do want to role play through the whole thing, have a small side session for it. If they don't, have shopping be a between session thing, and just have them present you with a list of things that they're looking for, decide if they can get it and how. Sessions that don't hit happen, bud. You got this. Just communicate with your peeps, and stuff should work out. That's helpful. So another one basically saying like, just talk to your group and be honest with them. which I also appreciate, because I mean, I generally try to do that, but sometimes I don't think of things like, oh, I should have asked them this, or I should option this as a choice to them, or whatever. So some of that is because like I just feel so honored to have a game group, you know, like to have 6 people that'll play with me. Like I don't want to rock that boat too much, if you know what I mean. Like, yeah, I think you know what I mean. And like we're all meeting live, right? So that makes a difference. I asked a question. Appreciate it, Kate. Does your group tend to do shopping inside the game sessions, or do you do it in between? Depends on the group, what they're looking for. I've had a whole session just be a glorified shopping episode. When they arrive in a big city, it has shops and stuff to explore. Other times they just give me a list of things they want and need. I give them a yes or no, it's available, and what cost they can find it, and then they mark off the money on their sheets. Either way, both times require open communication. So that's helpful. All right. Let's see. I missed a couple things. Satori saying hi. Okay, Nate. Let's see. Salty Nick. Nate, we can come up with a time for Pirate Borg, and you can advertise on your channel if you want us to get a group of your viewers for the Undead One Shot. I like, well, consider this advertisement on the channel. But at the same time, yeah, I don't mind talking about that in a video, because I would be happy to play some games with people from the channel. That'd be really fun, actually. So if you let me know when, like post the schedule up there, and then I'll start blasting it and see if we can get some people over there. If you're good with like running them every day, I don't know if I can play every day, but I could play at least 2 or 3 days. Like I can play like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, probably. Friday sometimes is tough, and Monday is sometimes tough. So, okay. Let's see. I'm 100% agreement with what you just read. I'm guessing that was regarding here, KYJ's thing, or this part here. All right, let's see. All right, let me continue on. Justin Blocker. Shopping set. Oh, hang on. Okay. I always forget to hit the open more, and then I try and do it while I'm reading, which makes my eyes dart the wrong way. So this one doesn't have an open more. Okay. Shopping sessions. The bane of many game runners. Should have given the spider evolution before they tried giving it a saddle. Okay, this reminded me. I totally forgot. I as I mentioned, I forget things so much. I totally forgot to give the spider like little evolutions, because someone had mentioned it in a previous video, and I thought it was a really cute idea. Something to also give the spider NPC like some more personality, because he's basically just like, you know, responding to things at times. Like in our last session, my son's character tried to speak with it and command it. And so I played it out like he was testing to see who the alpha of the party was, because he's pretty sure that my wife's character is the alpha. So I had the spider attack my son and like pounce him and web him up. And it's like, no, you're not in charge of me. I know who my boss is, right? And my son was like, well, you know, I totally forgot why I brought that up. Oh, the NPC, right. Spider evolution thing. Anyway, so I didn't have him evolve at all. So right now his character is kind of like pet, I guess. But an evolution could have given him some more character. So he mentioned that, and I was like, oh, yeah, right, the reminder, okay. Justin Blocker also says, I would give a character sheet and a shop inventory list to another character. Okay, so this was the first time I actually read this suggestion, but then I saw it a couple more times. Basically, I would give a different character, I would give a character sheet, a shop inventory list to another character, not one who is shopping, and have one of the players run the shop for the party before ever lifting a finger towards a shopping session. So maybe they're saying that they would just never do a shopping session. That's possibly it. Oh, I think that might be it, actually. Okay, so I may have read this wrong. I thought maybe they were saying actually hand the sheet to a player and say like, here you go, run the shop. But I think what they're saying is don't do shopping sessions, okay? Handle shopping off screen for the characters. If the characters want to haggle, let them roll dice, and if they fail, move on. Tell the players no, okay? So I think I finally understood this comment about giving players control of the shop. But I do think someone else actually suggests that as well. Okay, Red says, I just ask what they want, give them a price, and if they're really annoying about it, let them roll to reduce the price. Unless the shop or seller is an important thread, I don't even role play it. I just handle it above board. Maybe roll for more specialized or rare stuff. Yeah, I've been getting a lot of people saying the same thing. Just kind of like ignore the shop. I missed a couple things. Let's see. Where are we going? Okay. Wow, YouTube is getting smart too. Game Icons. It's an amazing website, open source images for RPG games and things. Great for keeping track of items and enemies has a color editor built in. Okay. Steve says he's got a crash, but wish you all good gaming. Thank you, Steve. Thank you so much. Let's see. TSL Frontman says you could print out a little token for that gummy bear golem idea, or a war goat, or tokens for enemies. Being able to modify them easily is fantastic. I'm saying good night to Steve. Okay, so I'm getting. Let me see. Okay, YouTube is getting too smart. Okay, Game Icons Net is an amazing website for open source images. Okay, interesting. All right, keeping track of items and enemies and things. And when you say it has a color editor built in, oh, okay, I'm guessing so you can print these things out on your own. Okay, that's cool. I mean, that is easy if I weren't already doing so much with the darn miniatures, but I have so many miniatures, like, kind of feel like I should use them. Let me take a sip, and then we're going to continue on. Let's see. Jared F says, we don't roleplay shopping for normal equipment. If a player wants something special, they have to minor quest for it. Okay, another idea for minor questing. Equipment is limited by what they could reasonably carry. Okay. Ruby Search says, I do shopping between sessions. If they forget anything, I'll have them make a roll when they realize what they needed in a situation. On a success, they bought the item and just remove its cost in gold from their character sheet. Something like this. Player, oh, we don't have a ladder, but I could have bought one in town last time we were there. Me, okay, roll a d20 or an 8 or more, you bought the ladder. I'm sorry, on an 8 or more, you bought the ladder, rolls a 12. Okay, I have a ladder now. If players want to go shopping, I let them, but that's mostly for some more exclusive items. And, okay, so this kind of brings up, hang on, I think it was Content Surprise. So Content Surprise basically said this type of thing. And my question is, what if a ladder perfectly solves the situation that they're in? Like, would you still let them have a ladder? And, you know, like, I don't have an issue with it because, so it's like sometimes the puzzle is the interesting thing and sometimes the solution to the puzzle is the interesting thing. And I guess it really depends on, like, how the puzzles work in your game. So, excuse me. Yes, sip and burp. Thank you, Gary. It just happened. All right. Oh, yeah. So I said, I like that system. It's a little like the flashback system from Blades in the Dark. And then I said, is there ever a time that you would not allow players to roll for having an item? And let's see, they said, not really, but the most obvious is if they would have money for it, okay? I also tell them the difficulty class before they roll to illustrate that some items would be more difficult to find. Okay, and that's a pretty simple solution to the thing that kind of just gets rid of all the shopping altogether, just going like, hey, you've got the random items you have. I don't think it's applicable to Shadow Dark because in Shadow Dark the inventory system is kind of the character. Like it's hard to explain, but in Shadow Dark inventory items are almost like powers or feats or abilities. Okay, Steve. Oh, well, Steve was just here a moment ago. All right, well, I'm getting to your comment now, Steve. Steve said, I'd rather rush shopping using the time passes section of Shadow Dark. I'm currently about to get my players to a new town following a sea voyage that went misty. I'm sending them to Ravenloft on a grand tour of the domains. This town is slightly more advanced than their native land, so I'll let them explore the town, and if they want to shop, I'll ask how long, what are they buying based off their charisma bonuses. I'll let them hear X number of rumors for hooks. My group is migrating from 5e, and my wife is new to the hobby, so I'm trying to get them to follow their own paths rather than to hold their hands and lead them to encounters. I really liked reading about this person's campaign because, not because like it gave me ideas for my own campaign, but it was just, I don't know, it was just interesting hearing about the campaign that people are in. You know, in some ways, like that kind of helps me to remember people. Like, I don't know if I'll remember like Steve associated with this story with his wife and D&D and migrating and like her being new to it. But I do remember that I asked him how it was going or something like that. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I said, how has your wife been enjoying the game? Like it was like, oh, hey, you know, I've got a wife who's new to gaming as well. How's it going for you? You know, I'm not sure if they responded yet. They haven't responded yet. All right, let me keep going. All right, let's see. Alex Dries. Alex Dr1es. All right. From the first part, I would have told the shoppers the shops and items they found. A giant spider salad would take a week to make, and it cost extra because it's a giant spider. I just add 25% to whatever the saddle costs to make it a giant superfied spider, or giant spider fight. I'd cut to the hunting and have the PC. I'd cut to the hunting PC and have them make an intelligence check to see if they were chasing, or if they were closing on the raccoon. I'd probably have them make intelligence. Oh no, sorry. I'd probably have the other PC there give them advantage since they're together in the woods looking for game. Once the shopping trip was done, I just wind up the hunt with either they got the animal or they didn't based on a check. After the check, I would describe more of the woods. Then either they find the critter or they don't. They don't need to roll a hit for a raccoon or roll damage. They shoot the critter, it dies. Cut back to the town with the hunters returning, and they continue the adventure. If the hunters press that they want to skin the animal or sell the pelt or the meat, we just hand wave that and say, fine, you find a shop and you can sell it for some petty cash. If the hunter wants to turn the pelt into like a hat or something, and have them make a check during downtime as they travel. That was all cool story stuff. I had a few people saying like that they wouldn't have given the players a spider saddle so much, and that's fair. I guess in my mind, I imagined the spider being slightly the size of a horse, like maybe a small pony. Like it's a pretty big spider. It's a giant spider. And so I was like, yeah, I mean, I imagine a horse saddle would kind of work, but the leather worker is going to have to add a few extra straps to it or something, you know, to kind of get it to go around legs or something. And so in my mind, it didn't work out to be that much more work than a horse saddle. So I kind of sped through the saddle making thing. Maybe I shouldn't have. You going to bed?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. All right, because it's only 10:45. You got late day tomorrow, right?
Yep.
He says hi, Bangs. All right. Okay, read that one. All right. Kristen's Brain. I think I got that right. Kristen's Brain says, I'd ask them what they want. If it's basic stuff, they can just get it. If it's unique, I have them roll a D100. Below 25, they have it for book price. 20 to 25, they have it, but it's overpriced. 50 to 75, it's very overpriced, or they'd have to order it. And 75 plus, they don't have it. Then we move on. Players who want more than that can actually play at someone else's table. I have heard this sentiment several times, like this kind of like, you do it my way or you leave my table. And I think I like at first I would hear stuff like that and I'm like, what? Who would do that, right? But then I started playing in some online games with Salty Nick, you know, and you know, there's people in those games, and like we got lucky. Like I got lucky the 2 times I was playing the game. Like everyone was pretty chill. Like no one was like insane. You know, no one was like dominating the time or whatever. But you know, this comment highlights that thing I mentioned earlier, which is like I think most of the games are being played online, and so yeah, you kind of just go, sorry, you're not playing anymore. Not really an option for me. But I also thought this was an interesting comment because it was talking about the random table effect where you kind of like let the dice decide what's in your town or if your town has something. That's interesting. I don't do that very often. All right. Cyphus says shop out of character or out of session, or use the color rules from older editions of D&D. Now, I asked Cyphus what the color rules were from older editions of D&D because I never heard of that, but they have not responded yet. All right, let's see. Nemo OD20. I think I got that right. Excuse me. Nemo OD20 says, when your wife wants to buy shoes, what do? You go to the sporting goods store or the bookstore, right? Why? Because watching her with shoes for 3 hours is boring as hell. It's the same in D&D. No one cares exactly what kind of new sword one character buys. It's an individual activity, so I handle all this negotiation, haggling, showing him what's in the inventory, rolling dice galore in between sessions. No one even, even if it turns out, even if it turns out that he's a little short on cash and wants to borrow 20 silver from another player, then we just call that player or send a text. I personally do not believe that extra rules or rolling dice will ever make shopping interesting to the rest of the party. More demolition, less exposition. Apparently that's something that the Professor DM has said. Ditto from Sly Flourish. Start strong. See videos for the other steps. Okay, in my opinion, they are right. And you know, that's also helpful. One more person going, don't do the shopping stuff. High up. Let's see. Yeah, what's up?
Do we have anything like I can have for dinner? I had dinner, but I want to eat
You didn't have dinner, or you?
I had dinner, but I
Well,
went to eat more.
I have steaks in the fridge. You're welcome to heat one of those up. What?
Do you have anything else?
Yeah, there's the bean and cheese burritos in the freezer.
Sure, I'll heat one of those up.
Okay, cool. All right, and you could always ask Lex to help you. Hey, how's it going, AJ? I don't know. Dogs are yelling at my son downstairs. I don't know why you didn't get notified for the stream. I'm sorry about that. This is probably my third time recapping. I am making a video going through the people's comments about how to do shopping better. I mentioned several times earlier in this stream that I plan on doing this a little more regularly, but titling those videos where I'm asking for comments to help me make a video, those will just be called like help me make a video. And so if you comment on a video where I say help me make a video, I'm going to be doing this. All right, let's see. So I asked a question. Okay, is there ever a good reason to run a town in shopping? Okay, so I was actually curious if they would ever run a town for shopping. Do you have an important conversations or questions built into the NPCs? And they said, okay, it's just hard to be unequivocal. Nothing is 100% with players. However, I think the first time you do it, it might be fun for everyone. There might be certainly people who dig it. It's just like people who like carousing, archery, or pole throwing competitions, gambling games at the ale house, etc. But it's pretty safe that most players don't like it and don't want to do it after the first time. I also thought that was interesting because that might be true. I don't know. All right. Let's see. Content Surprise says it seems like I just got to load. Let's see. I got to load my subscriptions to see. Oh, okay. You got to load your subscriptions to see when I'm streaming. I don't know what that means. What do you mean load your subscriptions? I don't know how to do that. Let's see. Best way to do shopping is to make it into other things. Plot hooks, gossip, questing, starting points. That's actually a lot of the points that people made in these comments. Like there are people talking about like, hey, we just do the shopping part out of session, but then in the game I say like, hey, these things happened, like, and this happened, and this person tried to pick your pocket, and then these bandits showed up in town, and like, how do you deal with those things? And they come up with like interesting stuff that happens between it. So Mr. Pirate Dancer says, you must get the can of peas from the top of Mount can of peas. No one at the face, I say, hold on. No, the one at face height isn't enough. You must climb the mountain. Right. That's a pretty epic quest. All right, let me get to Jolly Squid Studios. So while I'm scrolling through these things, obviously you can see the subscriptions because I have vidIQ's application on here, so you can see like the Kristen's Brain. He's got like 1,400 subscribers, so he's like a YouTube channel of like tabletop role-playing game stuff. So if, for example, if you want to subscribe to his channel and follow smaller creators, Kristen's Brain is that. So maybe I'll try and make a point when I'm going through these to point out people who are obviously YouTubers. Like there's some people like he's got 23 subscribers. I don't know if that means he's a YouTuber. Sometimes I take the time to actually go and check people's channels if I remember, and other times I forget. But this one, Jolly Squid Studio, I think is also a YouTuber that has like a channel focused on tabletop RPGs. Okay, Jolly Squid Studio says, in order to have good sessions, you've got to invest yourself really heavily into the game. And that means when the sessions feel rocky, it can sting a little. I agree with the other comment that more complex systems fix some of these issues. Oh, right. I remember this comment now. This led me to asking them some questions about games and things. When my players don't know what to do, since I'm running 5e, I can throw a combat their way, and they'll be busy enough with the tactics and the crunch that I have time to ready myself for what comes next. I thought that was pretty interesting. Like that the Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, since it's crunchy and it makes the players spend their time doing stuff, it means that the dungeon master can kind of like figure out how to make things up or figure out how to run the game while things are happening. And I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not sure. I don't even know if I have like clear thoughts on that, but I think it's interesting. All right. I've been DMing since I was 9 years old, right? I asked them about this as well. I've been DMing since I was 9 years old, and I still have bad sessions. I have less, but they're always possibility. As part of running the game, it's not really anyone's fault. Normally, I'll just start prepping immediately and to help me get out of my own head. Hope the next session goes better. If you hear really loud baby dog noises, it's Chloe. Chloe does this anytime people are getting food in the kitchen. She gets really pissy and she starts demanding that you feed her some of whatever you're preparing. So I asked, okay, you started DMing when you're 9? Really? That seems young. Okay, what was the first system you ran? I wasn't like testing him or challenging him. Like I did not believe him. I just was like, wow, that's really young. Wow. Okay. And then I wanted to have them tell me a little bit about their D&D session. They did. I asked some more questions about that. I'm not going to go all into it because I think maybe I asked, I was basically trying to understand like why they like D&D 5th edition. And I generally try and do that when I encounter people who like 5th edition. And it's not because I'm like an anti-5th edition person. It's like, am I an anti-5th edition person? I don't like it so much that I wouldn't play it. Like I wouldn't run it. I might play it. No, I don't even know if I'd play it as a system. Like now that I played Dragonbane and I'm like, this would actually be a system I'd want to play. And the moment I played Pirate Borg, I was like, yeah, this is actually be a system I'd want to run. Like this is pretty easy. And so that's going to be happening with like Savage Worlds and other games. Like, yeah, I don't think I'd ever go back to 5th edition. Like even if I was just a player. So I guess I'm anti-5th edition. And that's probably why I was asking Jolly Squid Studios, like, could you explain it? I'm not anti-Jolly Squid Studios. Like, that person's fine, right? And it's fine that they like playing the game. I just don't understand it, right? I think that makes sense. I think a lot of the people on this channel kind of are like, yeah, we get it. Even if we like 5th edition, we understand that you don't. Okay. All right. There's a bunch of things I haven't seen. Oh, hey, Gary's taken off. All right, Gary, hopefully I caught you. Good night. All right, hang on. There's a few more things. Plot hooks. Okay, we got that. Okay, Gary going to bed. Good night, Gary. AJ, okay, see, porting source books from other systems is really annoying. Okay. I could talk about this with, hey, AJ, what you doing tomorrow? You want to chat tomorrow morning? What's tomorrow? Wednesday? All right, I'm gonna probably hit you up. We'll talk about just that idea, porting source books. To me, the like, okay, if I'm understanding correctly what you mean, when you say porting source books, the idea that I get is that you're taking a game module or compendium, or like you're taking like the Curse of Strahd thing and you're trying to bring it into, I don't know, Shadow Dark or something, whatever, right? Okay, or you're trying to bring it into Tales from the Loop. Okay, I have mixed thoughts on that thing because I know that people are doing that with lots of systems. Let me read the rest of your comment first, I guess. Let's see. Porting source books from other systems is really annoying. You've had to convert tons of spells from let's see, that's Warhammer Fantasy Role-Playing Game 2nd Edition due to the initial lack of spells in the core of 4th Edition. Interesting. Then Gary said good night. I would never complain about there being a devoted book for 4E like Winds of Magic. Oh, I'm sorry. I would never complain about there being a devoted book for 4E like Winds of Magic. I don't know what Winds of Magic is, but I assume Winds of Magic was a magic book that brought 2nd edition spells to 4th edition of the Warhammer Fantasy Role-Playing Game. That's my guess. All right, people saying goodnight to Gary. Anyways, yeah, I have mixed thoughts on that thing. Like people taking a source book and merging it to another system. In some ways, like I feel like, okay, that definitely could be that thing of what's that thing called where you get so deep into a system that you've purchased and stuff that you lose sight of things. I can't remember the name of that cognitive. No, not cognitive dissonance. The sunk cost fallacy. There we go. That reads that to me, I guess, but whatever. All right. Anto Manifesto. You can tell I don't read out loud a lot of these people's names because I'm reading them for the first time. Anto Manifesto says, get your other players to create. Here was one of the other ones that said, have your players play as shopkeepers. Get your other players to create and play as shopkeeper NPCs. Gives them something a little creative to do. Gets them role-playing outside of themselves, and also allows them to hurry up the shopping or provide a little bit of gentle conflict or negotiating if they're in the mood. I thought this was an interesting idea. And let me see. Hold on. Okay, sunk cost fallacy. Yeah, there you go. Okay, all right. Thank you. That is exactly the one I was looking for. Okay, so I thought this was an interesting idea because, all right, I mentioned a few videos ago that we started doing some of the Bronstein method. I haven't picked it up recently because, well, not much time has gone on in the game, and the last things that my players have told me to have NPCs do in the world are still happening. So we haven't picked it up more, but I thought it was fun. I thought it was interesting. It was an interesting way to offload some non-essential NPCs and factions on my players, and also help me to spark some creative ideas about what to do in my campaign world. In the back of my mind, it's also a way for me to help my players participate in the process of DMing, because ultimately I would like to teach Landon and my son how to dungeon master games. Maybe I could also get Bishop's uncle Robert interested in it. I mean, like, that's possible. It's not out of the wheel of possibility. And my friend Marshall has already said he's interested in running, but it would have to be a system probably like Shadow Dark for him to be interested in doing it. I also think he probably prefers to be a player more than a DM. Maybe. We'll see. So this, having players run the shops thing, is something kind of akin to that Bronstein method where I go, oh, here's a way for me to playfully get my players to engage in dungeon mastering, like on the side, or like sneakily, right? Like I'm kind of sneakily going like, hey, this would be what it's like to dungeon master. Is it fun? Did you enjoy running the shop tonight? You know, see if running a shop owner ends up in one of my players' stars and wishes, you know, or stars. Yeah. So anyways, that idea I thought was interesting. Whether or not I do it, I'm not sure, but it's definitely one of those ones where I would consider it, and I still am considering it. So, all right, and he says if it could also be worth making some of those item purchases into crafting projects, which is also an interesting idea, I think. I'd imagine in most fantasy worlds, finding a saddle to fit a giant spider would be tricky, so why not get them to hunt for some animals and then get some materials together, and over the course of a few long rests, they could craft it themselves. I also thought this was a great idea, like, you know, I mean, like, kind of wish I'd thought of that myself. I think I'm on the right person. Yeah, this is the person who recommended Wild Sea to me, and I've really appreciated that suggestion, because I think... So I mentioned in last night's stream, I get the sense that Wild Sea is the game that my players wish they were playing. Even though my players are playing Shadow Dark and it's a nice rules light system, they're not playing Shadow Dark. And I mentioned this in last night's stream. We're not playing Shadow Dark even close to Grim. Like, it is like the closest thing I'd say it is like Chronicles of Narnia, like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. There's little friendly animal characters. You know, my players are trying to make pets out of spiders. In the back of my mind, I'm like, we're having a really fun time playing in a rules light system. And Shadow Dark was a great system to jump into for rules light. I don't know if Mouse Ritter would have picked up as well with my players. I don't know if Knave or Karen would have picked up as well with my players, like just based on who they are. So Shadow Dark was a nice soft transition into a rules light system. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, it's probably not the system we stay in forever, you know, or like maybe we stay in it till the end of this year. You know, this weekend we're about to have a Dragonbane like one shot, and Marshall will be trying Dragonbane for the first time. So my son and Landon and Steven already had a chance to try Dragonbane, and they loved it. This time I think it's just going to be, I forgot my wife. So this time it'll be my son, Landon, Marshall, and my wife. So 4 of our players will be there for Dragonbane. My thought, like a little thought in the back of my head, is it's possible that Marshall, my wife, and the kids all kind of go, you know what, we actually prefer Dragonbane, you know? A little bit different combat. We're not quite as afraid of getting into a fight. We have some armor to mitigate damage. We're doing some pretty significant hits. Like, they might like the difference in those two systems based on how they want to play the game. I'm not sure. We'll see. But ultimately, the thought I have is, like, because my players are always trying to make squishy pets and friends out of things, Wild Sea might be the game that they're actually trying to play and turn Shadow Dark into. That aside, okay, so let me get back to here. I missed some stuff. Okay, so TSL Frontman says, can I ask what people's opinions on using adventure zines for sessions? Interesting. That's a great question. Salty Nick says, one review of Pirate Borg said, I feel sorry for 5e superfans who won't even look at a book like this unless it's called Jolly Roger's Guide to the Sunk Cost Fallacy. All right, that's really funny. That's a good joke. And I'm trying to think if I have anything to add to that, because that's a pretty good joke, and it's got no fat on it. Yeah, I'm about to ruin that joke. I'm just gonna leave it be. That's a good point though. And I was that for a while. Definitely I still am that sunk cost fallacy person, and working really hard to not be when I notice that I'm falling into a system with like a heavy purchasing model. Which I think I even mentioned to Gary today. I was looking through like Modiphius's products, and I was wildly surprised about like all the games that Modiphius is making, where they've got like just like lines and lines of miniatures. Like they got a Mass Effect board game, and I'm like, oh cool, it's a Mass Effect board game. It's like $50. But then I went like surfing through their site a little further, and I'm like, what are all these miniatures for? Like I think maybe there were 100 miniatures, like just different miniatures for Mass Effect. And like in the back of my mind, I'm like, I just don't understand what it is. Like what it's for. Is the board game incomplete? Like, did they make a board game with a bunch of tokens, and then they knew people would sort of in an addictive way want to buy the miniatures? Like, it was one of those things where like I see this on occasion with a company like Modiphius, and I see it and I go, I don't know if this is a company I would recommend if that's the kind of business model they're doing. Like if they're making a Mass Effect game and it's got like 4 or 5 miniatures, but you definitely want to have all the miniatures for it, and you're gonna have to spend $40 a box for different miniatures. I'm like, I can't recommend that game to someone. Like okay, because I have kids, and one of them is definitely one of those kids who's like, hey, I'm into Marvel Crisis Protocol, so I'm gonna spend all my Christmas money on Marvel Crisis Protocol. And there's kids like that, right? And it's like I don't want to be suggesting to parents like, okay, a family of 4 that's like looking for a board game, I probably wouldn't suggest to them something that's going to have a business model to keep them spending it like eternally. All right, I got way off topic on that rant. Sorry. Talking about zines. Okay, Salty Nick. Okay, laughing at Salty Nick's comments. Okay, zines look cool. I've only gotten one from Free RPG Day, but I never played it. Great for mixing up long-running campaigns. Okay, I like the idea of zines too. Or like I've looked at the 3 Cursed Scroll zines, and I'm planning on inserting one of their dungeons into my campaign, just to give me like a little bit of a structure for a few weeks until I can sparse out some other ideas. All right, let's see. Winds of Magic 4E is a massive compendium for spells for Warhammer Fantasy role-playing game. One-shots are dangerous. They always turn into 4-shots that turn into 6-month-long campaigns. I haven't had that happen yet, but I can totally see where that would be the case. Yeah. TSL Frontman says, thanks, Mr. Dancer. I've seen a bunch by Shoot JP Cooper, IIRC, Flick Silverpan. Okay, he does really easy to read zines. A bunch are inspired or old RPG games like Dragon Quest. Okay. Content Surprise says, isn't Shadow Dark supposed to be a bit more fatal? Yeah, Shadow Dark was super fatal for my players when we first started the grinder, whatever it's called, the gauntlet. In the gauntlet, I think my players lost 8 or 9 characters total. So right away they got real quick into like, oh yeah, we're gonna die. But also right away my players started interacting with the world in a different way. Like once they all realized they had super like all our characters could just die in one hit. Once they realized that, they started planning differently. Like they started planning for an encounter where they're like, we're gonna tie up this giant tree and put it on this wagon, and we're gonna roll it down the hill on fire with sigils carved in it, so that the goblins think that a day witch is coming to kill them. And I was like, that's crazy. That's a great idea, right? And so I'm letting them play into it, because they're using their grappling hooks, they're using their axe, they're using all their stuff to like put this contraption together to try and scare goblins. And I was already stoked that my players were engaging with the world. Okay. They run into this goblin mine and like, boom, dead, boom, dead, boom, dead. People are dying. People are walking in the room with their brand new character. They try and hit something, boom, dead. Anytime someone tried to hit something, I just went full bore on that character. But when someone went, I take the pole, I hand the other end to the other player, we're gonna run through these 5 goblins, I go, boom, you're doing great, okay? New player comes in, tries to hit a player. All the goblins just ganged up on that person, and they died. But when people were doing interesting stuff, like I wasn't faking it, because I had like a giant goblin chieftain that like rolled a couple times on my son's character. He just missed. And then one time they were like, hey, we just poked his eye out. Could he have like some disadvantage? And I was like, yeah, that's fair. He's got an eye missing. He can have disadvantage on his attack. So we had a bunch of deaths. After that, my players turned up the role-playing aspect so much that each time they get engaged in a fight, they're trying to negotiate their way out of it. They're trying to talk their way out of it. I've had players like close to dead, like very close to dead, and for a few combats. They were fighting like some mimic chests. They were fighting not the spiders. They were fighting the beholder down in like the depths. Anyway, so yes, it's supposed to be super fatal. It's just my players are trying to be very careful. I suspect the current encounter that they're in right now is probably going to lead to a death or two. Like they're in a pretty spicy encounter at the moment, but it's on pause week to week. Mr. Pirate Dancer also laughing at Salty Nick's comment. Let me read it one more time to see. One review of Pirate Borg said, I feel sorry for 5e super fans who won't even look at the book like this unless it's called Jolly Roger's Guide to the Sunk Cost Fallacy. It's a great joke. All right, so Crafty Matt just jumped on. Good evening, Crafty Matt. How you doing? Content Surprise saying hello. AJ Hennings, TSL Frontman. They have their place. Let's see. Okay, they've never been for me, but I like really long, drawn-out stuff. Okay, and I think he's talking about those specific campaigns that TSL Frontman mentioned. I've never heard of those, so I can't comment on them. Let's see. TSL Frontman... Crafty Matt. Speaking of Modiphius, did you check out the Conan folder I linked to you? Does Conan make... does Modiphius make Conan? I have not finished checking out the Conan folder that you linked to me. I did copy the PDF of, I don't know, one of them, the one that you recommended to me. I can't remember the name of it. But I have not had a chance to look at, I don't want to say any new systems. I've been really focused on trying to learn Dragonbane since I have to be playing Dragonbane. And WildSea, the company that makes WildSea, sent me a copy of the book in a PDF form. And then they were really kind. Like they responded to my email like so well. They asked me if they could send me a physical thing, and so I was like, I'd kind of just like the book in physical form, so they're gonna send that to me. So that was really nice. And so, like, I've already had the thought, like, I don't really want to make reviews of game systems like, oh, it's like a 7 out of 10. I don't think that's that helpful, but I think at least kind of figuring out who a system is for. Like, for example, I've gotten the sense that WildSea might be for my type of play group, right? Like, characters want to collect magical pets. Characters want to, like, be doing, like, weird magical things. Characters want to be traveling, like, on a flying, flying airship or whatever, right? The magical fantasy setting that I get the sense that my players want is something kind of like that, which is kind of like Avatar. It's like a weird world. And so, anyway, so since this company sent me a thing, I'm kind of trying to focus my effort on that right now because that seems polite. And then also Dragonbane because my players are trying to learn it. And then also Savage World because we have all these Marvel Crisis Protocol characters, and like we're playing the game often, and I like playing the game. But I also had the thought it'd be cool if we could find a system to give these characters a use in like a tabletop role-playing game, and Savage World seems like it might be that. So those are kind of the 4 systems I'm focused on, but I will check out the others. And if I get better at reading these things quicker and kind of like if I get better at learning tabletop role-playing game language, because I understand there's like a jargon to it sometimes, and like I've already started to get it a little bit. I can scan through a section and I go, oh, we're about to look at classes. And I can scan through a section and I go, oh, we're looking at races, And they all have different flavor texting, but the more of them I read, the better I get at kind of understanding what sort of language I'm reading and, to discern that. Anyway, so I will get to Conan soon. Thank you again, Crafty Matt, for sharing stuff with me. TSL Frontman said, I'm with you, AJ. I'm just asking to see what stands out to other people. Okay. Useful or effective. I'll always argue for more books, even if they're skinny little books. All right, Crafty Matt says, biggest question of the night: are you bringing glory to Gorun? Okay. So I got the sense that people who like follow the channel, like there's a lot of people who are like, Star Trek, yeah, and I'm like, Star Trek, yeah. Like, I mean, I could even like just make a whole channel talking about Star Trek episodes. Like, I love this show so much. So I thought, well, I might just like have it in the background or whatever, because I don't know, it's fun. And I'm also, I think I mentioned at the beginning of this stream, I'm planning on trying to spruce things up a little bit because in my previous like channel, whatever. Previously, when I was running this channel, I was running it as a video game channel, and I did a lot of work to make the stream look really nice. Like I had like the Stream Deck programmed and everything. And then now I'm here streaming and people are actually watching the stream because they weren't watching me before. People are watching it and I'm like, I feel really lazy. Like I just haven't put enough work in. Like I need to put some effort into this. So I spruced it up just a little bit. And I added the little background behind, why am I getting this so wrong? Oh my goodness. There we go. There it is. Okay. All right. Anyways, Wild Sea. I got totally distracted talking about Wild Sea. All right. Depends on what you need, not a zine. Right, Pirate Dancer. Okay, I'm gonna leave the comments for a second because I think you guys are actually just talking to each other at the moment about the zines, and I'm gonna try and stick with this one goal. All right, actually, oh, you know what? I'm looking here. I'm almost at the bottom of the comments, so that's encouraging. Apparently, this is however long this stream is going, this is how long it takes me to read through, like, I think this is like 50 comments or something. So it maybe less than that. Maybe it's 30. All right. This was me asking him some questions about Wild Sea. As I mentioned, I got a copy from the company, and so I was looking through the book, and I thought, it'd be nice if I could find a video explaining the game a little bit, and I could watch that first, just to help me better digest the content. I know that a lot of you have been going through like these. Whoops, that's a book. I know that a lot of you have been going through these books for a long time, but I have not, and going through these books is actually challenging for me. And I want to explain mechanically the reason why it's challenging, because if you're someone who reads one of these books and you do a really good job of reading these books, you might not understand why it's hard for someone to read one of these things. And like I've done reading before, like I read things, and I have an okay time of like reading this page that I'm on and understanding this section I'm reading. But these kind of books, like these rules books, they're a little bit different, because when you're reading this information here and like the middle of the book, you also have to know the stuff that you read in the beginning of the book, and not just like tangentially. Like you can't just know like oh yeah, I remember when Harry Potter went to that place or whatever. We talked about that earlier in chapter 3. Not like that. Like there's a mechanic that's being discussed that goes like hyperlink to something earlier. And so if you don't remember that thing, now you're doing this in the book and going, wait, what was that thing? Oh, right, hang on a second. Oh, now I have to reread that whole thing because I've already forgotten kind of what some of the details of it was. So to you who are able to read these books just easily, I am like, just well done. Like, good job keeping your mind in a sharp place and discerning mechanics and stuff, because it's hard for me. Like I'm still going through the rule book of the Cyberpunk game because there was a mechanic that hung up. I just didn't understand how it worked until I saw a video recently. I didn't understand how it worked, and none of the rest of the game made sense to me because I couldn't make the inspired system make sense. Like the way it was written in the book was confusing to me, to the point where I was like, I don't know how this game runs. Like I just don't get it, right? And so, all right, so that's why I generally try and look for like videos to explain some of the game systems, like someone going through and explaining it, which I haven't seen a lot of people doing. Like I've seen a lot of people going like, hey, this is good, this is some of the content from it, but not going, here's how you play it, right? All right, I got distracted. I was about to go to a new comment. All right, let's see, let's go back here. People are talking with Crafty Matt, biggest question, okay. Pirate Dancer, okay. TSL Frontman, Star Trek writers played a lot of D&D actually. I wouldn't be surprised. Their stories are, like, these stories are pretty good. And there are a lot of those stories where it's like, you encounter a situation, like a cool situation. Let's see, Crafty Matt says, if you like the Shadow Dark Gauntlet mixed with Wild Magic, look at the Dungeon Crawl Classics. It is the painted van miniature of wizard riding a unicorn while fighting dragons in space kind of energy. All right, thank you so much for explaining that. No one has summarized it that well. That's really good. Let's see, and you said, Crafty Matt, you also said, do I actually want a copy of Wild Sea? You can make that happen. You're never going to use your copy. If you have a copy of Wild Sea that you don't want, I mean, the company already said they're going to send me a copy, so I think they will. The person who emailed me was totally upfront about it and said, yeah, there's no problem. Give me your address. But if you have a copy, I know that Landon would probably like to run a game in his home. And since I'm thinking that's the game for our campaign, I'd already be teaching my players how to play it. And so if you've got an extra copy of the book and you want to send it to me, just, I don't know, we'll try and exchange information, and I'll figure out how to pay you for the shipping, because I think I should. But yeah, just let me know. Let me know if that's something you want to do. Because I know Landon would probably dig on having that book. As far as I know, it's a pretty cool looking book. It's like wide and stuff too. All right, let's see. Oh, cool, Mr. Pirate. I should check that out. I love using alternatives and miniatures rules. Okay, Matt Colville is an incredible contributor to our hobby. Right. Crafty, thank you. I've always wanted to play exactly that feeling. Oh, okay, maybe you're offering someone else. No, I'm sorry. If I totally misunderstood that and you were offering that to TSL Frontman, forgive me for misinterpreting that text. Okay. All right, let's see. AJ Haynes, I usually read a system's core book front to back once. Oh my goodness, that'd be so hard. Okay, sleep on it, play it, then read it again. If I don't, I'll forget a bunch of stuff. Okay, Colville is great. All right. Oh, you're suggesting Matt Colville for explaining systems. Okay, cool. That's thank you. I didn't actually, I've only seen a few of his videos. I've seen like maybe 4 or 5 of his videos. They've all been very helpful, but like with all the things that I end up doing, it's like I have to allocate my time. So if I'm watching a video, like it's probably going to be one that, like, it's rarely going to be one that's entertaining me, and it's more going to be one that's like telling me how to play one of these games or something. So that's helpful. Thank you. Crafty Matt says it's not a joke. I had trouble reading and retaining information until I read How to Read a Book by Mortimer J. Adler and Charles Van Doren. Not a joke. This is an amazing book that helps you. Okay. Nope. Offering it to you, AJ. Okay, cool. I did misunderstand that. Okay, then work that out with AJ. Thank you. That's nice. Let me go back to here. Okay, so this was actually an interesting comment because I had not thought of this. N4Tune8. Okay, so I get it. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. There we go. Have you asked your son why he absolutely wants a flaming sword? Is it maybe to bypass the need of torches or lanterns? And like right there, I was like, that's exactly why he wants a flaming sword. He says no, it's because he wants a cool, powerful sword. Okay. He probably wants to pass torches. So no need for combustibles, no worry. Don't worry about the torch timer. Be careful about what you give your players in Shadow Dark. A little metagamer, that little metagamer is wily. So he disagrees. He says that's not why he wanted it. I suspect it might be. All right. Rivers RPG channel says, well, you have that sometimes. Don't beat yourself up. Too bad. Get some rest and try again. Rivers is another person who has a tabletop role-playing game channel. You can see he's got 405 subscribers. So if you want to follow other small channels, you just go ahead and click on his channel and subscribe. All right, AJ Hennings. Hey, AJ Hennings, I'm about to read your comment. I feel like this is actually the first time I'm reading someone's comment who's in there, and now I'm suddenly nervous that I'm going to mess up on the words of your comment. So I'm going to take a sip of kombucha so I ensure that I burp during reading it. Okay, AJ Hennings says, this is where certain systems begin to struggle. Oh, I like this comment. This was helpful. This is where certain systems begin to struggle. The more minimalist the system, the more difficult this kind of stuff is. Shopping, in my opinion, is really hard to handle. Usually, it also falls on the players. Allowing party splits is generally also in general also hard. I usually expedite shopping with a party unless it's a unique NPC that they randomly encounter. Bad sessions happen for everyone. Don't sweat it. Talk to your players, smooth it over, and get ready for your next session. Let's see. Xanatharian says that's just not true. Minimalist systems like Shadow Dark struggle exactly the same as bloated systems like Pathfinder, Wizards of the Coast, D&D when it comes to towns and shopping. The struggle really comes down to not teaching the DM how to handle them well. Almost no system spends time going through this, but lots of time explaining combat and dungeon crawling. I thought that was an interesting counterpoint with some truth to it, but I'm not sure if what they're saying here is correct or not. I don't think I've looked at enough systems to understand whether a minimalist system would struggle with shopping more than a complex system. So I'm kind of having to defer to these two people. So I was actually happy that they got into a little bit of a argument. I asked AJ Hennings if he could explain the differences between a minimalist system and a rules-heavy system when it comes to shopping and how it affects the system differently, because, I want to know. AJ Hennings says, if there's no distinction between Wizards of the Coast, Pazio, or other bloated systems, then where is the bloat? Of course, they don't suffer from the same issues. Laugh my butt off. One suffers from lack of content on the spot. The other suffers from too much. The minimalist has to suffer in some departments. For those of us that don't view content as bloat, we just view it as resources. I like both systems, but no, it is true. Minimalist systems suffer from minimalism. Large systems suffer from bloat. Not sure how this is even disputable, but your final point, I agree on that. There's very little in terms of demonstrating the ideal situation where perusing. There's very little in terms of demonstrating the ideal situation where perusing the market and bazaar. So he's agreeing that not many of the books discuss how to run shopping very well, and so I think AJ has managed to answer my question at the same time as answering Xantharian's question, which, hey, good job, AJ. For a moment, I thought you had ignored my question. I was going to shame you. But no, I think you actually answered my question perfectly in the sense that you are saying the minimalist system suffers from being minimal. So I think I can see that. And I think that's some of the reason why I have been thinking maybe Dragonbane or a different system is probably better for our group. Again, I have a suspicion that Wild Sea is the game that our group wants to be playing. All right. Let me go back to here. I saw something move. Okay, looks like Pirate Dancer's heading off. Good night, Pirate Dancer. Have a good night. Thanks for hanging out with us. Let me go back over here. Crafty Matt saying nope. All right, so TSL Frontman says, given the flaming sword that has a limited duration and it's as long as one torch, when it runs out, it's a normal sword until you recharge it somewhere. Ooh, that's a cool idea. AJ Henning says, just ordered it on Amazon. I'll give it a go. All right, and that's with regards to Marcus, Arbiter of Worlds. Okay, I think I saw that one recommended. I think it's on my list of whatever compendiums or resources. All right, Pirate Dancer says, TSL Frontman, the recharge sounds cool, especially if stabbing certain monsters recharges it on stab. Stab then burst in flame. Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. Except the boy is downstairs, so he heard me just say all that stuff. Apparently he wasn't paying attention. All right, Slime-E8841 says, I made a homebrew system for wealth and equipment that mostly abstracts all those things. It's kind of like a blanket solution because it just removes shopping from the game as a real necessity, so it might not be for everyone. It really is a party-by-party thing. Every table has its own preferences when it comes to mundane interactions. This one, I'm going to go through all the things because I did not understand what they were describing by saying they created a system that abstracts all those things. So I had to ask them more information. Indenture Code says, I do really enjoy when games abstract wealth a little bit. Call of Cthulhu's credit system was the first time I ran into it. I also didn't understand that. So I said, Indenture Code, how does the credit rating work? And I also asked Slimy, could you explain how the abstracting those things works? All right, so then, hang on, somewhere down here they explain it. Let's see, here it is. Okay, abstract in the sense of not simulating. So players have wealth tiers that give them equipment instead of actually having to count out and spend gold. There are many ways to do it, but it is mostly just about cutting the hassle. I feel like Indenture Code had responded to me, but I'm not seeing their response. I thought okay, so I'm pretty sure they responded to me, and they said something about how Call of Cthulhu's credit system gives you like a D100, where your character has like a score they're trying to roll under or roll over, and if your character is like essentially wealthy, then you have an easy chance of rolling your credit score essentially. Yeah, anyway, so I thought they had responded that way, but I'm not seeing their response here. So this might be one of those situations where YouTube has deleted a message, but I don't know why it would, because I'm pretty sure they had a response, and then I responded to the response saying that's interesting, and I've never heard of that. So, but that's all missing here. So I don't know what's going on. All right, let's see. Missed some stuff. They were saying goodnight to Mr. Pirate. Minimalists are very straightforward and surface face. You get the sandbox. Okay, you get the sandbox, the whole thing, which is fun for some people, but it can require a lot of forward planning. Yeah, Get to sandbox. Yeah, I'm getting the idea that there is a lot of forward planning required in that type of thing. And in some ways it's really good because it gives me the ability to have an open world. My players can just choose to explore, and I'm not like I'm not railroading them into things. But yeah, there's a point where I'm like, oh, I kind of don't know what to do. All right, let's see. I'm gonna struggle with your name again. Hang on. Don't tell me. You just told me last night, and I've already forgot again. Engetamna. All right, I'm going with Engetamna. I know you already did it phonetically, and now I feel stupid for not remembering it exactly. But all right, you speed up shopping by giving a list of 2 to 6 boons, items or services the NPCs or factions offer, and everyone can pick one. Mundane stuff gets hand waved. Specific requests can get a D100 roll. AJ Henning says, bloated, have so much resource it can feel overwhelming sometimes. But when you get comfortable with the material, you can find an answer to almost anything you're looking for. Interesting. And Yatama says, anything but a very high D100 roll gets a no or a compromise offer, usually done in 15 to 20 minutes plus a little fun role play. AJ Henning says, both are deceptive in the sale of product. They both promise you that they will save time. Neither actually do. It's just Theme Park 5's sandbox. Interesting. Oh, I'm sorry. It's theme park versus sandbox. Okay. So AJ, what is the solution? Like, what is the solution system-wise? How do you? Okay. Here's a question. How do you make? Okay. Is there a system with an interesting shopping mechanic, like built into the system? Is there a system where the DM doesn't have to hand wave or homebrew out shopping? Like, is there ever a system? Have you ever encountered a system where you were like, I want to play the shopping part of this system, right? Like, is that a thing? Does that exist? Maybe that's a video, because I'm interested to hear if anyone has the response to that. All right, let me go back to this thing. Okay, so Ver K Goth. I'm not saying that right. Ver K-Goth. I'm sticking with it. Ver K-Goth. One of the biggest challenges with running games is shopping trips. The biggest issue is keeping everyone engaged during it, especially when not everyone is shopping. I usually wing it each time and toss out possible plot hooks or random events at the players that aren't shopping. That's a good way to solve the issue. Satori says have them wait in the tavern or hang out with the watch. And Vaker Goth says, I like to keep my players engaged and active, so if they're in the tavern or with the watch, something would probably still happen. Right? Your seat at the table says, well, dude, you're a dad. Well, well, you're a dude and a dad. Of course, everything's your fault. Didn't you get the memo? I thought that was funny. Let's see. Robot Ghost says, unless there's a planned encounter to get through in the shop where they can have role-playing and learn something or advance the story, just say, sure, you find a shop that has that. It will cost 25 gold pieces total. It takes you about an hour to find the shop and buy everything. The shopkeeper, Bertle Bannon, is happy for the sale and thanks you. He lets you know that the Green Griffin Tavern is the best place to have lunch. His cousin, Beatrice Bannon, owns it, and if you mention him, she'll give you a discount. Okay, it's mid-morning now. What do you do next? Keep it short and to the point. You can skip the part with the Bannons, but it's a little more interesting if you can inject just a little detail and some quirkiness. Make it up on the fly. A quick description or something they say during the exchange that has a little bit of character to it, but you don't have to role play it. Just give it a quick narrative and move on. Thank you. I enjoy your videos. That's also helpful. I appreciate that because I'm constantly insecure about my videos. Because I think I've mentioned I'm like a very compulsive editor, and so like, there's like that. I just put something up and I didn't edit it at all. It's freaking me out. So, I saw this move just a second ago. All right, let's see. Both are deceptive. Okay, so Crafty Matt says the issue I have with minimalist rule sets is the heavy lifting the GM needs to do to fill in the rules. I'd rather have a system that lets me spackle in the cracks rather than build the house. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, I see what you're saying about that, and So I guess my question would be, is there a mid-tier system that makes it sort of easy to run the shopping mechanic? Did he get it? He got a
Lego wheel.
How did he get a Lego? He didn't even, oh wow, this is like a sturdy wheel. He didn't destroy it. Hey, you are not supposed no, you are not supposed to be eating Lego wheels. Are you going to bed now? Can you not break everything? I'm almost done with my comments. Are you gonna come sit?
Sure.
Okay, are you gonna be chill so I can finish what I'm doing? Because I'm already wildly.
I didn't mean to knock over the water.
No, but I mean, you're knocking over more stuff now? Come on, man.
It's just falling.
Okay. All right. All right. I'm gonna get back to where I was at. Let's see. Crafty Matt says shopping is never interesting. AJ Hennings agrees with Crafty Matt. Crafty Matt says, and yes, a system mechanic does exist that has existed since the days of AD&D. It's called downtime orders. Just because you are away from the table doesn't mean the role-playing has to end. Interesting. Role-play between sessions. Have one-on-one with the player in person or on the phone or text when you're role-playing the shopping, and it doesn't take away from the group session. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I didn't know about that. So, like when I'm reading people say, like, we don't do the shopping, I'm like, wow, okay. I didn't know you could just not do the shopping. And, that you could have this kind of thing between sessions. Yeah, that's kind of cool. All right, Hector Rodriguez says, no, it's the game's fault. All right, so what? We can blame 5e, but Shadow Dark is untouchable.
Screen.
What?
Why don't you put it on the screen?
Have I been on the not screen for a long time?
Yes, no one's been able to see it.
No one's been able to see any of the things I've been reading? Okay. No. That's what I get for being stupid. Hold on. I wasn't there the whole time, though, because I think I had it up here for a while. All right. Well, this makes me feel stupid in the same way that I called the DM philosopher, the DM professor or psychologist, like in the video about him. And I'm like, I'm stupid. All right. So sorry that apparently the chat wasn't up for this. So
it's not a big deal. People make mistakes.
All right. I'm stupid and people make mistakes. All right. Hector Rodriguez says, no, it's the game's fault. What? We can blame 5e, but Shadow Dark is untouchable. Okay, so he's being like making a snarky joke, like okay, wink, wink. Don't get me wrong. You play what you play. You play what you want to play. But I've seen some of your videos about 5e, and in some instances, I wanted to scream at the scream, mate. I'm getting the idea he might be Australian. I'll tell you how to run shopping. It depends on the size of the settlement. First, the characters make a list of what they want/need. If it is a city or a fairly big trading point, the players can get those things easily. Make some exceptions with magical items or spells not being available everywhere. Also, that makes them think of other solutions or possible substitutions. If it's a small settlement, use logic, and probably half of that list can be purchasable. But there can be some artisans or local folk that can help make some things, i.e. an armorer. We have Rory, the hunter's boy. He wants to be a tanner if you want to roleplay the moment or the conversation. Rory can make some custom orders, and then, and even the player can help the process. All right, so let's see. Finder Ski responded, was going to say essentially the same thing. It doesn't need to all be roleplayed. It doesn't need to all be roleplayed. If you want some opportunity for roleplaying, let them know what rumors they hear, and if the players are interested in any of the rumors, that becomes an opportunity to zoom in and play that scene. And then Xantharian says, it's actually not correct to say that the game's fault. It's actually not correct to say it's the game's fault because there really isn't a game that handles it well. It's more like it's a TTRPG industry's fault. Haha. All of these systems should spend time instructing new DMs in ways to properly handle town exploration, shopping trips, and various things like that. But they all really gloss over it and don't mention it all. And then most DMs end up running into the problem that he did and have to learn how to run them better themselves. Oh, also, he is right about all of his 5e criticisms. 5e is a garbage system. Almost every other systems are better. Ironically, given it's the most popular one on the market. Okay, that was really funny. All right, then let's see how this. Oh wow, this is gonna go on for a little bit. Let's see. He is saying his comment was meant to be tongue-in-cheek. Maybe we need to clarify that. Okay, I'm not going to go through all of these because I think we've gotten the point of the comment that they're saying it's not a system problem specifically. It's like a TTRPG problem, and AJ Hennings, you seem to highlight that as well. The over-bloated system tends to handle shopping in a bloated way, and the minimalist system seems to handle it in a minimal way. And it doesn't seem like I'm gonna jump back here for a second and see if anyone has mentioned a good system where shopping is fun. Let's see. Crafty Matt. Let's see, role play between sessions. Okay, Crafty Matt says the original Twin Cities Game Club used to write letters to each other. They call their GM and tell their GM what the character is doing when the party is not together. Okay, interesting. AJ Henning says yes, but I can't disclose much on it. Okay, interesting. Well done, AJ. I think it's viable with almost any game, and that has a robust item table, but no system I've played solely facilitates it. There are a few systems. Okay, so AJ, yeah, AJ, hit me up in Discord. Let me know if you're doing anything tomorrow. We can have a call after I drop my son off at school. I'd be interested in talking with you about this shop thing.
No, my mom's dropping me off at school.
Oh, never mind. His mom's dropping me off. So
also late start tomorrow.
Late start. So yeah, like maybe we can. If you're not doing anything, maybe we can have a conversation like around 10 or so. And I want to talk with you about systems you may have heard of that have cool shopping. TSL Frontman says Hero Quest shopping feels good. It's not unique.
Hero Quest.
The broadsword. It's not unique. If you have the money, you can buy an item from the armory. But you get your money from quests or a deck of cards with wandering monsters and other hazards. Okay. AJ Henning says that offer the handshake to the DM to make it happen, but none of that's just to say, hey, this is how to make it fun. Okay, and now we're gonna do that. That's a good point, right? It's like is there a way to make it fun? You know, like to have a game mechanic for it. Crafty Matt also says, also your son wants a sword. Play a one-on-one game between the main session where he goes on a quest. A one-player session goes surprisingly quick. This sort of downtime activity elevates the game. I agree, and that's why I've been trying to encourage my players to allow our game to become a West March campaign and change to a different period of timing where it's like on one-to-one timing.
I don't want that.
He doesn't want that, but I don't think he knows what he wants.
That.
Let's see.
Except for Landon.
Steps in the room, breaking noises. I know, right? This guy, man. Oh yes, to Crafty. Okay, solo quests are important for items. Great idea. Sorry. Solo quests for important items is a great idea, time permitting. Yeah, I would like the mid-session week things. I think that'd be fun, and I think it would also be, I think it would also be fun for my players, even though they don't understand that it might be fun for them. So I would like it to change to a West Marches session, but we'll figure it out. All right, let's see. At the end of it, I asked Hector Rodriguez, like, okay, could you please tell me what it is about our different opinions that makes you want to scream at the screen? And he was like, no, I'm just kind of joking, but like some of the things you say I think are wrong because I think 5e is a great system, and I think you don't understand 5e is a great system or something. And he didn't really take like a position of authority in it at all. He was pretty kind about it. So that's like the one thing I find really interesting about the tabletop role-playing game community. Like for the most part, and I mean like probably almost 100%, like I just don't get any really highly negative interactions. Like I used to get them in like video games all the time where people are just like, go kill yourself, like you just get really vitriolic individuals in some of these spaces. And the tabletop gaming community, even like a dude who I thought I was having a beef with early on, like he showed up in my stream a couple days ago and we were chatting and it was totally cool. So that's been really nice. All right, I'm almost done with the comments in this video. I am done. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, so that was the end. So, okay. In closing, I think the thing I plan to do for our game. Wait, hold on. I didn't get to. Wait, is this all of them? This can't have been all of them because I missed one. Not held for review. No, not held for review. I want the published. But where's the stupid filter thing? That's not the right filter. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm gonna. Oh, it's over to the right more or something. Hang on. Let me go. What is happening?
I don't even know how that happened.
What is going on,
my phone slid off my lap onto the ground.
Okay. Shh. All right. Comments. Okay. Held for review. Where's the other section for the comments? Okay, I'm not listening to you. Shush. Okay, there is a comment in here that I didn't. Okay. because the main thing that I thought of that I was like, hey, this is what I'm going to do, didn't come up. I haven't read the search. Contains a question. Public subscribers. So let's see. Response status. Okay, I have responses with new replies. Let's try looking that one up. Search. I mean, oh, come on. Just do responses with response status with new reply. Oh, there we go. Apply. Okay. All right. Because there was a comment in here where the person talked about a version of doing the game where you do like it was a quick summary thing. You basically do all okay, let me see if I can remember it. I plan on basically doing like all the minutia, like crossbow bolts and arrows and whatever, potions or something like that out of session, like before the game starts. And then having like just a one turn around the table where anyone can basically talk about some of the things they bought or things that they have in the party so people know about it. And then at the same time, we can basically play if they're doing anything else that's not shopping related, like if they want to meet with an NPC or go somewhere. And so we have like one session around. But there was a comment that someone had, and they explained this thing. Hold on. Okay, here's Hector's comment. Made a homebrew system. Okay, I saw this one already. Now these are out of order, so it's even less helpful. Okay, it's not here. So you guys are definitely right. There is something like YouTube is just deleting comments, because I read a comment. Shh, I'm not feeding you yet. I read a comment that explained, and now I don't know exactly what the thing was. Anyways, it was similar to what Frost Spike had said, but it was also a little bit similar to what Okay, so it was similar to what Frost Spike had written in here, where basically like we kind of break it down into like different tiers of rounds, like minutes, hours, days, weeks, whatever. Okay. So it was similar to this type of thing, but it was including the idea of having some of the shopping being done out of session. I'm serious, I'm not feeding you yet. You get fed soon. All right, so, and then it was also a mix of what Wickedly One had written in here, where I'm going to try and make the stuff more interesting, the same thing that Pro Wrestler, Love Pro Wrestler had mentioned. Okay, so basically I'm grabbing a few different things that people have commented and tethering them together, having most of shopping exist out of session, having whatever shopping is be something interesting in towns, and then making it take place like in like just the quickest amount of time possible, unless there's something really interesting happening. So, all right, I missed a bunch of things now. Hang on, let's see. Yeah, more steps in the room, breaking noises. Playing a game. All right, so let's see. Crafty Matt says, I'm playing in a game where you are a patron player. Okay, I don't know what that is. My character is a high elf wizard that gives orders to the lower level parties. Right now, I'm plotting against the dwarf patron player. So when you say patron player, are you talking about some system where you're playing like with settlements or something? Or like, what does that mean? Okay, TSL Frontman says, the reason the HQ method is so effective is money is equal to risks taken. The more money you own, or the more money you win from that deck of cards. Oh, this is Hero Quest. The more money you win from that deck of cards, the less money is left to win, and the more odds that the more odds of monsters and losing hit points. Interesting. Okay, so there's a set number of cards, and you don't cycle the deck without going through the deck. Okay. Salty Nick says, for some people, 5e is the perfect system, and all the best to them. But for Christmas, I wish everyone who's only ever played D&D just tries a few sessions of something else. Okay. Crafty Matt says there are a few groups in this game with 4 or 5 of us playing with the high level NPC patrons. I said a few groups in this game with 4 or 5 of us playing the high level NPC patrons. Our actions and downtime orders once a week influence the main party's actions in the world. Okay, can you go feed the cat without dropping a ton of stuff? He's doing his thing.
Try and stop being clumsy.
Yes, don't knock over my water. Okay, just go feed the cat without falling down the stairs. TSL Frontman. Okay, hold on. Okay, so yeah, so it sounds like in this patron system, like you are the lord of a settlement or something, and so you control the settlement or something. That's an interesting. Like I've never played anything like that. That sounds so interesting. I saw a system that looked like that, and I was going through it for some reason, and so I saw some of these things you're talking about, but I obviously don't know which system you're playing in. All right, see, TSL Frontman says also bonuses for extra objects. Oh, I'm sorry, bonuses for extra objectives. AJ Henning says, show your son your crappy paint jobs. It'll make him feel better. Yeah, you sent via Discord. Okay, cool. You also sent solo quests in downtime. They're really fun. It also lets more shy people have some time in the sun. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I just saw your lower comment, AJ. Crafty Man says we turn our orders into the GM once a week as to what our patron is doing. The patrons are all PvPing with each other, with regular group players being our wargaming pieces. They act out your orders. How do you resolve that? Like, do you guys make dice rolls, or the DM kind of adjudicates outcomes based on tactics and strategy? I'm really interested to understand how that system works. See, AJ Henning says breaking intensifies. Crafty Mats. So I will pit my group of players against the dwarves group of players, and we all have a GM above us. Hang on a second. There's about 30 bros playing this game. It's a multi-leveled game. A GM, then a patron, then players who PvP against each other by putting the other regular group of players against each other. How could I get in on something like that? That sounds really interesting, and I would be interested. I mean, I'd be interested in just playing like a player in a game like that, but I would also be interested in observing. Like, is this recorded anywhere? Like, do you guys have like a video, like it shows this or something? Because this is like this is a super meta. That's a pretty baller idea. That's interesting. You playing Slay the Spire still? Okay, you should be getting into bed right now. I'm about to wrap up, okay? You should be getting into bed. Here, come say goodnight. Pick up that boy.
Good night, everyone.
Hang on, let's see. And then see Salty Nick. AJ Henning says, Salty Nick, I agree. I will shell out the D100 systems. See, I will shill all the D100 systems I can for Christmas. I agree 5e isn't a bad system, just missing some heart. No videos, just play reports. Okay. Crafty Matt also said it's like we're playing chess, but each piece are actually role-playing groups that move based on our orders. Yeah, I'd be interested to know more about that. Maybe I could chat with you on a Discord or something about that, Crafty Matt, because I kind of want to just understand how it works, because it sounds to me like you have players who are making decisions in the world, and sometimes maybe even encountering other players, or at least they're encountering the avatars of other players. So then I'm like, okay, well, how does that work? Like, do the players encounter other players? Can a player kill a player? Or, okay, or does a player kill an avatar of a player? Okay, and then the level above that, like, how do the DMs? Again, how does the adjudication system work for the DMs who are above the players who are interacting with other DMs? I'm curious about all that. Anyways, okay, so whoever has mentioned that YouTube is deleting comments, I'm fairly certain that is true, because there was a comment that was in here, and so that's disappointing. Okay, thank you all for hanging out and making this a really fun stream. Thank you for all your comments in the chat and hanging out while I read these comments. I will post a video tomorrow that is basically asking the question, how do you run a horror game? And that video will say, like, help me make a video. This stupid cat, man. This stupid cat. Help me make a video. How do you run horror in your games? And so if you post a comment on that video, I'm going to use that video to make another video like this. I'll try to make these live streams. What was this? Was this like a couple hours? This was almost 3 hours. Okay, I'll try to make these not 3 hours, because I don't know who this is helpful to, who's not in this live stream. So, and I want to make these helpful, because I think these tips are really good. So I'll probably even go tomorrow and just make this a quick video without responding to comments and things. My goodness, that cat is annoying. All right, TSL Frontman says he just gave me an idea for a multiplayer chess type game that the players play outside of the game. Take a piece equals win a prize, and that other team gets an extra encounter. And you guys are thinking of like super meta stuff. That's cool. It's just there are levels to that. Google Trollopolis and read the blog by Jeffo Johnson. Hang on. All right, let me take a picture of that because I'm not gonna remember that. Picture, go. All right, do I have it? Yes, I got it. Okay, cool. Thank you. All right, it's midnight, so I'm gonna head out. Question. Anyways, yeah. So if you have any thoughts or ideas on how to spruce up the stream, make it less bad, just I don't know, hit me up, whatever, make a comment or something, let me know, and I will do probably anything you recommend. Anyways, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you for all your comments on these videos. It helps me to learn a lot and figure things out. And it's actually fun to make these videos. And so, yeah. All right. God bless you. Have a good night. I'm gonna bounce for now. Yeah, Crafty Matt. Yeah, hit me up on Discord because I'd like to try and talk with you more about this. But I'll also try and read this dude Jeff O's blog. Content surprise. Thank you so much. You have a good one as well. We're probably gonna stream regularly on Mondays for sure, and I'll find like one other day, like 2 days total to stream each week, and that'll probably be something I can keep up, for regular. And I'll generally try and do like at least one of our videos just going through these comments or whatever. All right. Anyways, thanks so much. Have a good night. God bless you.
Yeah. God bless you.
Have a good week and enjoy your games. All right.
Bye-bye.
Oh, I'm on the wrong computer. Can't believe I did like half the